Then one of the fine things in college athletics as far as bands are concerned, the Ohio band came on the field. The student body rose to the occasion, and they formed the Ohio Strip, which I think is one of the more intricate moves, which finishes out spelling the state of Ohio. Numbers-wise, we're just a little bit outnumbered. Our fans start to cheer a little bit. I think we have approximately 4,000 Michigan fans here and 80,000 Ohio State fans. Setting is great. It's a beautiful day for the ball game. I'm brought back to a few memories that I have in the past of playing in this stadium. In 1942, we played down here. We're beaten 21-7. One of the unusual things about that ball game, and the thing that I remember well, we were driving for a touchdown, which Bob Chappie has hit Bob Weezy just about at the goal line, and a fellow named Seringhouse came out and decked him, stopped us from scoring, and we ended up second best in that game, 21-7. As I said, one of the unusual things about that year was the fact that we did not play Ohio last. We were scheduled to play Iowa, and I remember our coach Fritz Kaiser saying, fellas, this is a game that you can remember all winter long, and we proceeded to bounce back and beat Iowa that year. The next year we played them in Ann Arbor. I don't remember the exact score, but it was something like 40-6, in which they were depleted in the ranks, and we had a fine team and ended up winning the Big Ten. I do remember my senior year, 1944, in which we lost 18-14, and as that ball game went, Ohio scored first. We scored, kicked the extra point, led 7-6. They scored to go ahead 12-7, missed the extra point. We kicked it. We scored and went ahead. I even remember the play, 5:32 slash. Went ahead 14-12. They bounced back and ended up beating us on a controversial onside kick. Now as I look around and the booth opens up, and here comes huffing and puffing Bob Ufer.
Thank you, Donald. Well, football fans, we see the two teams are down there on this tartan turf. Oh, gosh, can't you just feel the anxiety emanating from this snake pit down here? It's colored with a haze of maize and blue and scarlet and gray, and the big guy is going to introduce the starting 11 for Ohio State, and it'll be defensively speaking for Michigan, it'll be Moeller's Monsters being introduced. Meanwhile, you know, when they talk about football, this is really one football game when you can throw away that record book. We said that in our opening remarks because it's probably one of the most glaring examples of football being a game of emotions when Michigan and Ohio State get together, because not only are two of the oldest rivals in the Big Ten, the Wolverines and the Buckeyes, battling for the 73rd time in history, but it's a meeting of two men, Woody and Bo, who have been associated in football in just about every way possible. First of all, Woody Hayes was Bo's coach at Miami of Ohio back in 1948, 49, and 50, and Bo respected Woody as well he might as a great football coach. And then Bo was Woody's assistant here, and a graduate assistant in 51, and then he came back in 1968 and was an assistant headline coach for 5 years until 1962, and then, of course, Bo went on over to Miami of Ohio, and there is where Don Cannon plucked him off that Ohio campus down there at Miami and brought him up to Michigan to start the 1969 season. Woody and Bo have been going each other as rival head coaches for two of the most oriented football schools in the country, Michigan and Ohio State, and that's what I mean by two old rivals, two men who really respect each other as great football minds, but today they ask no quarter and they're going to give no quarter. You know, Ohio State is not only wrapped up their 5th consecutive Big Ten championship, but do you realize Ohio State is going after their 18th consecutive Big Ten victory, which will be a new all-time record? The old record was held by Ohio State and Michigan, Fritz Kreiser's Mad Magicians and Benny Osterbahn's, those two national championship teams in 1947 and 48, won 17 in a row in the Big Ten, and Ohio State's team with Rex Kearns, you remember, with Stillwagon and Tatum and that company back in 68, 9, and 70, won 17 in a row. And the Buckeyes are also trying to keep from being shut out, and it'll be the 123rd game in a row that Ohio State has not been shut out. Now, the record, the NCAA record, is held by the Oklahoma team under Bud Wilkinson, and that was set back in 1954 to 57 at 123 games without being shut out. And Ohio State, if Michigan can shut them out today, cannot tie Oklahoma's record. Well, Michigan is going after 18 points in their last two ball games because they want to become the highest scoring team in the history of the Big Ten, which of course includes Michigan. Because right now the record is held by Bo Schembechler's team in 1971. You remember that all wins and no losses, no ties during the regular 11-game season with 4 All-Americans in 71. And then, of course, a heartbreaking 13-12 loss to Stanford out in the Pasadena Classic. But that team in that year in 12 games ran up 421 points. Right now, Michigan in 1976 has run up 404 points. They need 18 here this afternoon. And, of course, along with their bowl game on January 1st out in Pasadena. The Michigan team is meeting the coaches. There comes Bo over there, and they're jumping up and down with maize and blue written all over every single uniform. It's a little bit odd to see Michigan in white, but who cares what colors they're wearing as long as they have on that traditional helmet, and as long as they have on those maize pants, and as long as they have that old Wolverine fighting desire deep in their hearts. That's what's carried Michigan all through the years to 8 national football titles, 4 under Yost in 01, 02, 03, and 04, 2 under Kipke, 1932 and 33. Fritz Chrysler won a national title in 1947, and Benny Osterman won a title in 1948. And Michigan hopes to defeat Ohio State here today and go out and beat the winner of the UCLA Southern California game, which will be held later this afternoon. And Michigan will meet the winner out there on January 1st. That's the way the pattern is set as far as Michigan is concerned. On the other hand, across the way here on this western sideline, the hometown Buckeyes. Boy, are they favored down here. This town is really oriented to football. Look at those Buckeyes jump up and down. Meanwhile, across the field, we see Michigan's Kirk Lewis, the captain of a year ago. Rob Lido, All-American in everybody's book. The lad who has just rushed for more yards than any other football player in the history of Michigan football, number 41. He's slowly walking out, and on his right happens to be Big Calvin O'Neill, the leading tackler in the history of Michigan football. He set a record a year ago with 151 tackles, and so far this year, he has 131 with 2 games to go. Rob Lido, meanwhile, as you know, has scored 27 touchdowns on his career, 24 running, 3 on the end of passes, 1 as a sophomore, and then 2 this year from the very fine Ricky Leach, who incidentally, coming into this ball game, has real fine credentials. Ricky has passed 87 times, completed 46 for 897 yards, and 13 big touchdowns, and his longest pass was for 64 yards to Jimmy Smith. Ricky Leach has carried the ball for the Wolverines in 10 games, 92 times, picking up 555 yards, averaging 6 yards a carry. And Ricky Leach has also scored 10 touchdowns, and his longest run for a touchdown was 48 yards. Right now, the co-captains of Ohio State, Bill Lukens, number 64, along with number 9, Thompson, and along with number 1, the All-American place-kicking specialist of Ohio State and punter. Ohio State will receive. Michigan will kick off. The Wolverines will defend the goal to our right. That means Michigan will receive the second half kickoff, just as they did in 1973 up in Ann Arbor. Michigan will kick off here this afternoon in 1976, and in just a few moments you will see those white-jerseyed lads coming down here below us on the 35-yard line. We will find Sebron, Howard, Meter, and then we aren't sure whether it's Anderson or Bolden being in the kicking spot along with Wood. And on their right will be Hicks, Greer, Mackel, DeSantis, Pickens, and Pottick. And, of course, for Ohio State, their quarterback, Jimmy Pacetta, number 15, has carried the ball 46 times, only run for 62 yards. That's an average carry of 1.5 times per carry. He's not a real great option quarterback in that he doesn't have the quickness, the elusiveness that is so characteristic of his predecessor, Gerald, who was lost to Ohio State earlier this year with 3 broken ribs. Back on the Ohio State goal line, deep in the end zone, for this kickoff return will be Logan, number 34, Jackson, number 47, and 23, Spriggs. In the middle, of course, is their number 1 man, Logan, who has carried the ball 1,106 yards. He's scored 5 touchdowns. Every time he's carried the ball, he's averaged 6 yards a carry. He's caught 3 passes for 29 yards. His longest run, the same as Rob Lido, 75 yards. Bobby Wood, the number 1 place kicker in the history of Michigan football, approaches, and the kickoff of the 76 Michigan-Ohio State game is right out of the end zone, a la Bobby Wood fashion of earlier in 76. Look at Wood slap his hands. That's the way to boot him, Robert, old boy, and the Buckeyes will check in first and 10 on their own 20-yard line. As we mentioned a moment ago, it'll be Jeff Logan at the tailback. It'll be Pete Johnson, the lad who right now has 57 touchdowns. He owned a career to set an all-time NCAA record for the number of touchdowns scored by any football player in the history of intercollegiate football. The record is now held by the All-American Glenn Davis back in the middle 1940s. He had 59. Right now, Pete Johnson has 18 touchdowns. Last year, he had 39. Jimmy Harrell, number 11, is flanking out wide to the left. Wide to the right is Jones, number 49. It'll be the I formation, Logan deep and Johnson close. Pacetta under center, Michigan with a 5-2. He rolls out, he gives it off to Johnson, who gets 5 yards. Pete Johnson coming into the ball game, averaging 4 yards a carry, moved up behind Ward and Savoca, number 79, number 57, the left tackle and left guard, opening up a hole through the right side of Michigan's forward defensive line. And right now, Ohio State's offensive line averages 233 pounds a man. Up front in the trench, Michigan's defensive front five go at 222. The Buckeyes have 11-pound average advantage in the offensive line. 2nd and 5. Somebody jumped off sides, and there is Pete Johnson stopping, and that looked as though either Ohio pulled them off sides or Michigan jumped off sides. It will be illegal procedure against Ohio or offside against Michigan. We're not sure which. For those of you who may have just tuned in, Ohio State won the toss. That's right, illegal procedure against Ohio State. It'll cost them the 5 yards that Pete Johnson picked up on the first play of the ball game. For those of you, as we said, who may have just tuned in, Ohio won the toss of the coin. They elected to receive. It was booted right out of the end zone by Bobby Wood. The Buckeyes 1st and 10 on their own 20. Pete Johnson picked up 5. 2nd down and 5, and the Buckeyes just lost 5 yards via the penalty route. And so it'll be now the same. 2nd down, only 10 to go. Wide to the left this time is Harrell. Wide to the right is Jones. It's Logan deep and Johnson close at the I formation, looking for Pacenta. Is looking over a 5-2. He's back for a pass. He's being chased back there, and he's going to run. He's up and out of bounds at the 20-yard line. He gained absolutely nothing. It'll bring up 3rd down and 10. And so Ohio State, who came into this ball game averaging on the ground 272 yards a ball game, 56 on the passing arms of Gerald and Pacenta, have averaged coming into the game a net of 328 yards per ball game to Michigan's 456. So the Wolverines have the offensive edge, and according to the experts, Ohio State has the defensive edge in this football classic of 1976. 3rd and 10. Up over the ball comes Lang. Wide to the left this time is Harrell. Wide to the right is Jones. It's Pro set on the line. It's Logan deep and Johnson close. A drop back pass by Pacenta. He throws it out to right flat to Logan. He's hit back there at the 18-yard line. A beautiful tackle by Tom Tedesco, number 99, who had 7 sacks coming into the ball game for 32 yards and losses, has just picked up his 8th sack of 1976 and his 60th tackle of 1976. And Michigan's defense, Moeller's Monsters, rise to the occasion the first time Ohio has the ball. And so Michigan drops 2 men back. It'll be Jimmy Smith and Dwight Hicks. Jimmy Smith is brought back in kickoffs, in punt returns, 18 and averaged 12.5 yards a return. Punting for Ohio State, the number 1 All-American punter in the country. Punted 42 times and averaged 40 yards a kick. A high end over end. Smith at the 35. Smith up at the 40. Smith wide to the right, and he's hit back at the 35. He's still on his feet at the 40. Cuts back in at the 44. That was a beautiful punt return. Now, let me give it to you in case you didn't see it on TV. Jimmy Smith caught it at the 35, moved up to the 37, went parallel with the 37, dropped back to the 32, outran 3 would-be tackers of Ohio State along that eastern sideline, then cut upfield and went down that eastern sideline right in front of Bo. Old General Patton was just egging him on up over the 40 to the 43-yard line. A 46-yard kick with an 8-yard return. So Michigan now with All-American Lido deep and Davis close the I formation. 2 wide out. Smith close. Kurt Stevenson wide. Under center, quarterback Ricky Leach is 1st and 10 from their own 43-yard line. There it is, Rob Lido. Oh, is he upended in there as Ohio State's front 3. Bonamici, Brown, and Beeman. 3 of the leading tacklers in the Big Ten. Bonamici with 80 tackles coming into the game. Brown, the middle guard, with 87 tackles coming into the game. And Beeman with 70 tackles coming into the game. A trio hit Rob Lido. It'll be now 2nd down and about 8. 2nd and 8, 18 yards in from the far eastern sideline. Up over the ball for Michigan is Downing. Ricky Leach looks at a 5-2-4 defense, and on a long count from center with Lido deep and Davis close. He takes the snap. He fakes it off, and he keeps the ball. And no, sir, he gives it to Davis up over the 46 to the 48-yard line. Russell Davis coming into the ball game at average 6.5 yards a carry. Carrying against 10 opponents 71 times for 474 yards. Russell Davis, that fine sophomore fullback from down in Virginia, has picked up 3 touchdowns on the ground. And so Michigan now in their first 3rd down conversion. Ohio State ended up 3rd down and 12, or 4th down and 12, and had to punt. Michigan right now has it 3rd down, and they have 5 yards to go for the 1st down. Lido deep, and Ricky Leach goes back for a pass. He cocks his arm, and it's batted down as it leaves Ricky Leach's hand. It's Brodzinski. Brodzinski, the Fremont senior, who has been a classmate in high school of Michigan's All-American Rob Lido. They chum together in the summer every year for the past 7 years. At vacation time, they're real bosom buddies, but today they're enemies, and that time, Brodzinski, number 84, with 104 tackles, the 3rd leading tackler, batted that ball down, and so Michigan now has back. It's John Anderson. Anderson is back on his own 32-yard line. Anderson has punted 20 times and averaged 40.5 yards a kick. There's the snap. It takes plenty of time. There it is, a beautiful long spiral. And it is taken by Roish. And he fumbles the ball, recovers at the 8-yard line. Roish. Tom Roish, number 26, from Staten Island, New York. Took that punt, fumbled it, fell on it right there at the 8-yard line, a 44-yard kick. So both teams are playing sort of dawn like two heavyweight fighters feeling each other out. Neither one has picked up a first down. Both teams have punted once. And Michigan, on the exchange of punts, picked up 8 yards.
That's right. It seems like our defense is alert. Their defense seems to be alert. And I think this is a thing that can happen, Bob, as far as teams coming into a game. You're sky high and you let it all out. And so far, they're sparring, like you said, like two heavyweights.
You know, I'm glad you and I aren't sky high. You know, I keep telling myself, Ufer, 1,000 years from now, nobody will remember who won this game. So keep everything in its proper perspective. That's what we're going to do in this Michigan-Ohio State football game of 1976. The 73rd meeting between these two teams. As we said in our opening remarks, Michigan has won 39, Ohio State 28. 5 times these two teams have played to a tie. The biggest Michigan win was way back in 02. Yost's great point-a-minute teams as he shut out the Buckeyes 86-0. And then Francis Smith, coach of Ohio State in 1935, shut out Michigan in the Ohio State's biggest win over the Wolverines, 38-0. Michigan has shut out Ohio State, incidentally, 24 times over the years, and Ohio State has shut out Michigan 10 times over the years. Bo and Woody since 1969. What a confrontation it's been. Michigan has run up 88 points, Ohio State 96. And I'll give you some more stats, but the facts are Ohio first and 10 on their own 8-yard line. Pro set. There's a handoff to Pete Johnson. He's hit at the 11-yard line, picking up on the play about 3 yards. Coming into the game, remember, he had averaged about 4 yards a carry. On the first play from scrimmage here this afternoon, the big fullback, number 33 from Long Beach, New York, rambled for 5 yards, but then a illegal procedure penalty nullified that, and Ohio State ended up punting on 4th and 12. Michigan took the following punt. Jimmy Smith brought it back. The Wolverines started out on their own 43, ended up punting to the Buckeyes. It's now 2nd down and 8. Pro set there is Logan with the ball, and he's hit right in the center there. Graves, Morton, Tedesco. Let's check Michigan's front 5 right there. We see Seabron at right end, Hennessy at right guard, Graves at the middle guard. Graves is quick. He moves in there well at middle guard. When they want strength, they move Bobby Lang in at the middle guard, Michigan. Then Greg Morton, the number 2 tackler on the team, at left tackle. Tedesco at left end. And, of course, the 2 linebackers, Jerry Meter and Calvin O'Neill, co-captain O'Neill. Jerry Zuber, who's having a bang-up year for Michigan, as Bo mentioned to you and I in the locker room before this ball game started. Wide to the left is Harrell. Wide to the right is Jones. Logan deep and Johnson close. There he is, a rollout. Facetta keeps the ball, and he's hit right there at the 14-yard line. Facetta moving from the 11 to the 14. It'll now be a 4th down situation, and once again, Greg Morton, that all Big Ten tackle from Akron, Ohio, has just made his 112th tackle of 1976, his 2nd this afternoon. And so Michigan's defense is in there right now to see what they can do with number 1. The number 1 punter in the country last year, averaging 48.5 yards a kick. This year he's trying to place kick, field goals, and extra points as well. His punting average has dropped back to about 40.5 yards. This time, it's a beautiful punt. It's Jimmy Smith at the 35, just where he got the last one. He cuts back in at the 40, and he's hit right there at the 41. He's still on his feet, and he cuts down to the 45, the 46. A beautiful return. There's a flag on the play, and it looks as though Michigan might have been guilty of clipping back on the 40-yard line. A 56-yard boom by Skladany. He may have come into the game with an average of 40.5, but we understand from their sports information director, he told us before the game, he said, Bob, forget about Skladany's average this year. He remembers when he broke his ankle in his freshman year up in Ann Arbor playing against the Wolverines. He claimed it was a cheap shot. Of course, every time an Ohio State man is tackled, it's a cheap shot, and vice versa, depending on what color uniform you're wearing. And he said he's going to really be ready to boom him. Well, that last punt was indicative of that. 56 yards, an 11-yard return. A fine return, incidentally, by Jimmy Smith. But right now, the official is going over to explain to Bo Schembechler just what has transpired. Meanwhile, around the country this afternoon, number Pitt is idle today. Happens with UCLA and Southern Cal, and the big one here, Ohio State and Michigan. As we mentioned, number 2 UCLA is playing Southern Cal right after this game out in the West Coast. 5th place Maryland is at Virginia this afternoon. 6th place Georgia is idle. Texas Tech is hosting Houston. Texas Tech, you know, is slated for the Cotton Bowl. They're 7th in the country. Ohio State, number 8, of course, entertaining Michigan here. Number 9, Texas A&M hosting TCU. Number 10, Houston at Texas Tech. 11, Nebraska hosting Oklahoma. That should be a whale of a ball game in the Big 8. And number 12, Notre Dame up at South Bend against Miami of Florida. In the Big 10 this afternoon, Michigan State hosting Iowa, Minnesota at Wisconsin, Indiana at Purdue, and Northwestern at Illinois. And we will have those scores brought up to date as soon as they come in to the press box here. But remember, we kicked off due to television about 40 minutes before any other ball game in the country starts. So we won't have many scores. Wide to the right is Kurt Stevenson. Evidently, it was a penalty against both teams. I didn't pick up anything else. It's 1st and 10 on their own 45-yard line. Lido deep and Davis close. Wide to the right is Stevenson. Wide to the left is Smith. There's a handoff this time to Davis. Barrels his way to the 47-yard line. Hurled back by Brzezinski along with Casino and Bonamici, the whole left side of Ohio State's front five, along with that linebacker. You know, Ohio State right now defensively has a line averaging 230 pounds a man, and Michigan's offensive front seven go at 232. So the Wolverines, when they're on offense, have a 2-pound per man advantage. When Ohio State's on offense, they have an 11-pound per man advantage. Wide to the right is Jimmy Smith. Wide to the left is Stevenson. Lido deep and Davis close. It's 2nd and 8. There's Ricky Leach going back. A left-handed passer cocks his arm, can't find a receiver, and he's hit right there at the 48-yard line. Ricky Leach looked for a moment as though he found a man open, and then he realized as he cut back he wasn't in a position to throw with a strong throw. In other words, he couldn't plant the foot that he needed to really throw one because he saw that Kurt Stevenson was trying to duck and go down deep. And so Michigan running quick without a huddle now, trying to catch him sleeping. Ricky Leach can't find a man open, and he eats the ball at the 43-yard line. Brzezinski, number 84, moving in there beautifully. As Ricky Leach, without a huddle, couldn't find a man open, changed his mind, stuttered just a step too long, and was brought down by Brzezinski. That is his 4th tackle of the afternoon, 108 on the season. And Michigan's Johnny Anderson, who last time punted the ball 44 yards, is standing back on his own 28-yard line. Walt Downing is listening for the signal. There it is. There is Anderson's punt, a high, wobbly kick off the right side of his foot, and it'll a Michigan bounce out of bounds at the Ohio State 21-yard line. And actually, this ball game started about 7 minutes ago, and it started with Ohio State on their own 20-yard line. The score, Michigan nothing, Ohio nothing, and right now, Ohio has the ball on their own 21-yard line. The score, Ohio State nothing, Michigan nothing. Don, we've played 7 minutes and actually haven't found out too much.
Really haven't, Bob. They just kind of, like you said earlier, they're just feeling each other out a little bit. We've been running into the line, not throwing possibly on first down, setting some things up. We had a quick huddle at one time. Now we're back to ready to go.
One thing we found out, we know why Ohio State has intercepted 22 passes. That pass defense, Ricky Leach can't find a man open. There's the Logan up through the left side. He picks up 2 yards at the most. That front five of Moeller's Monsters platoon out there, Hennessy, Graves, and Morton, the center three, moving in there as a one-man contingent. As you know, Michigan's defense this afternoon is the same as they've utilized for 8 years, and after all, why not? They've led the Big Ten in defense against the score 5 out of the last 7 years, and they led the nation 3 out of the 7 years, and right now they're number 2 in the nation, defense against the score. Wide to the left this time is Jones. There is Pacenta back. He throws a pass, and it is caught. No, incomplete. Incomplete. It was Harrell. Jimmy Harrell trying to catch his 11th pass. Tried to catch the ball. It was trapped. The crowd didn't like it. Standing right there was Hicks along with Bolden, and they both said to the official, that's right, it was trapped. The official nodded, indicated no good. It comes back to the original point of scrimmage. Midway between the sideline stripes on the Ohio State 23-yard line, it's 3rd down and 8 yards to go. 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the first period. No score from Columbus, Ohio on a beautiful November afternoon for football. Wide to the left this time is Jones. Wide to the right is Harrell. It's Logan deep and Johnson close. It's the I formation, and there's Pacenta handing off to Johnson. He's hit right there at the 26. Look at that big lad. Donald, you can see why that 254-pound frame has scored 57 touchdowns in 4 years.
You certainly can see that, Bob. He's a powerful fella, and we must have had 5 guys pop him and finally stopped him and contained him.
So it brings up a 4th down situation. Meter and Morton were the 2 that really made the final tackle on Pete Johnson. It brings up 4th down and 4, and once again, Mr. All-American number 1, Tom Spladany, in his senior year, standing on his own, call it the 13-yard line, about 21 yards in from this sideline. There it is. It's almost blocked. Beautiful punt. Smith catches it on his own 10-yard line. He has it. He's up to 15. Cuts back in at the 20, the 21, and that punting of Ohio State. You know, they used to say, or they still say, that 1/3 of all football games, Don, are decided on the punting game. And that has been so true in these close ball games between Ohio State and Michigan. What about the 2 field goals in '73 that were missed at the end, and Michigan had to settle for a 10-10 tie? 2 years ago down here, 4 field goals by Ohio State. They led 12-10, and Michigan missed a 23-yard field goal in the last 16 seconds. Boy, the punting game is all important. Lytle deep and Davis close. I formation, Ricky Leach under center, 1st and 10 from his own 21-yard line. He gives it off to Davis. He's hit right there. Russell Davis is hit by Aaron Brown. I tell you, Donald, looking at this ball game right now, the breaks are going to decide it. It's just as we said before. It's like 2 heavyweight fighters picking each other apart, sort of feeling each other out, trying to find a vulnerable spot, trying to find an Achilles heel. Neither team has apparently shown the other team any weakness because neither team has picked up a first down, and we're halfway through the first quarter. It's Lytle deep and Davis close. Ricky Leach under center. Michigan's vaunted offensive attack now with Ricky Leach keeping the ball. Handing it to Davis, and Davis cannot pick up anything. Davis can pick up absolutely nothing. It's Brown, Bonamici, both in there making a 2-man tandem tackle on Russell Davis. For those of you who have just tuned in, you haven't missed a doggone thing. Ohio State took the opening kickoff. They have punted 3 times. Michigan has punted twice. Neither team has picked up any type of a score. Neither team has threatened. And Michigan has punted twice, and they have it now 3rd and 9 on their own 22-yard line. Lytle deep, Davis close. 2 men wide out, Stevenson and Smith. Ricky Leach goes back to pass. Coxazami's going to run with the ball. Now he keeps it. He's hit at the 27-yard line and dropped right there, but it'll bring up 4th down. And so Ohio a moment ago had 4th down and 4. Michigan now has 4th down and 3. And again, Johnny Anderson now will try and match the kicking of Skladany's 46, 56, and 58 yards. Johnny Anderson's last punt only went 36 yards. This could be a decided advantage. Bringing back this kick return will be Griffin. There it is, a high, long spiral, and it's coming down, being taken by Logan at the 28, the 30, the 35, the 40, out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Jeff Logan coming down this western sideline, knocked out of bounds at the 42-yard line. A 44-yard kick by Johnny Anderson. 2 yards over his average, since he is leading the Big Ten with 42.4 yards per punt, but his average punt over the whole year for Michigan has been 40.7. But that time he boomed it out, 44 yards, a fine return by Jeff Logan of 14 yards. So check in Ohio State's offense, and this is the furthest penetration by either team as Ohio now has the ball on their own 42.5-yard line. No score, and we're going to pause for a word over this, the very maize and blue, scarlet and gray football network. Jack Lane, Bill Petula, Jerry McCarty spinning the dials, and Jimmy Janacek spotting the Buckeyes. We're all set to bring you exciting action here. The final 5 minutes of the first quarter. Remember, at halftime, Bob Foreman will have a great halftime show. Wide to the left is Harrell. Wide to the right is Jones. There's a hand up to Drogan. He's hit and dropped right there. A beautiful tackle in there. 2 men in on the tackle. Bill Petula will have that for us in just a moment as they unpile. It's both defensive tackles. Hennessy and Morton both in there making 2-man tackle on the ball carrier Jeff Logan, who coming into the game, remember, had averaged 6 yards a carry, running up over 1,106 yards. Michigan's ball players in the back of their I formation, as you know. Lytle has run up 1,238 yards and has also become the leading ground gainer in the history of Michigan football. It brings up 2nd and 10 for the Buckeyes. Wide to the left, Harrell. There is Pacenta with the ball. He slips. He is stopped right there at the 45-yard line. So on 2nd down and 10, Pacenta picks up 2.5 yards. All he does is move the ball about midway between the sideline stripes, just about 1.5 yards shy of that big scarlet O that permeates that tartan turf out here this afternoon. Don, I can't get over the sunshine, the fine November weather that we have here in Columbus this afternoon.
It certainly is, and we have to thank the weatherman for that, Bob. It's just so nice, you take this game and the build-up to it, and then if it were spoiled by inclement weather, so he cooperated with us.
Well, 88,000 fans along with you and me, and we're all expecting a lot of action here. There it is, 3rd down and 8. He's back for a pass. He throws downfield. It's almost intercepted by Zuber. He couldn't quite hold it. Jerry Zuber has intercepted 5 passes of the enemy this year. In fact, against Michigan State, he intercepted a pass and brought it back for 60 yards. He couldn't hold that, so it brings in the number 1 punter in the land, Mr. Tom Skladany. He's standing back around the 31-yard line. His last punt boomed out 58 yards. His second punt went 56 yards. His first punt, 46 yards. He's certainly not showing the average in the first 10 games of 40 yards. There it is again, a long one. Jimmy Smith takes it at the 12. Jimmy Smith back up to the 15, to the 20. The 21-yard line. Michigan has it just where they had it 2 punts ago on their own 21-yard line. 3 minutes, 41 seconds remaining in the first period. Yes, sir, it's been Michigan, Ohio, the Big Two of the Big Ten since 1969. And actually, the last team to go to the Rose Bowl outside of Michigan and Ohio State was the Indiana Cinderella team under Johnny Pond. That was the 67 team that went to Pasadena on January 1st of 68. Here in Columbus, in 1976, November 20th, Michigan has it 1st and 10 on their own 21-yard line. Lido deep and Davis close. Ricky Leach under center, looks at the 6-man front, gives it off to Lido. His hit, he breaks the tackle. He's up to the 24-yard line. Rob Lido far short of his average of 7 yards per carry. Has carried the ball here this afternoon twice, and he's picked up about 5 yards, 2.5 yards per carry. Our human computer, Jack Lane, just whipped that to us so fast and furious. The ball is resting 19 yards in from this, the western sideline. No score from Columbus, Ohio. A ball game that promises to be just a real bloodletting. I'll tell you before this is over. 2 tight ends on a balanced line. Wide to the right is Smith. There's the delayed handoff to Rob Lido over the 30 to 32. And it's a first down, Michigan. The first down of the ball game. And who should make it? None other than the leading ball carrier in the history of Michigan football, Rob Lido, as he picks up the first real statistic of the afternoon outside of the great punting by Tom Skladany. It's Rob Lido picking up the first down. Michigan has it out from the underneath the shadow of that flagpole here, which comes out to about the 30-yard line, which Jimmy Smith is kneeling right there, wide to the right. Lido deep, Davis close. Davis has it over the 35, and is he hit and wrestled to the ground at the 36-yard line. Brown, Beeman, and Danzler. You know, these two teams are really scrapping, and you know, football games, when you have two great football teams like Michigan and Ohio State, you know where the game is decided? Right up there in those trenches. Those 5 men for Ohio State and Michigan's 7 men right now are going to decide, and vice versa when Ohio State's on offense. Wide to the right is Jimmy Smith. Wide to the left is Stevenson. Lido deep, Davis close. It's 2nd and 7 on their own 36-yard line. Ricky Leach under center, fakes to Davis, rolls out, pitches off to Lido at the 35, cuts to the 40 to 41. He is only a yard shy of Michigan's second first down of the ball game. Hang on to your kilocycles. Michigan is moving now. They started on their own 21-yard line after Jimmy Smith. Brought back a Skladany punt from the Wolverine 10 out to the Michigan 21-yard line. Now the Wolverines have it 3rd down and 1. And this is a 3rd down situation for Ricky Leach, his 4th. He's 0 for 3. Ohio State's Pacetta is 0 for 4. Ricky Leach under center. 2 tight ends in a balanced line, and Lido deep and Davis close. They need 1 yard, and there's Rob Lido. He has a first down and more to the 45-yard line. So this is what Bo Schembechler, George Patton football is all about. Ball control, momentum, 1 minute and 31 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Down on the playing field. The chain gang moves up, and the referee signals time is in. The ball is resting midway between the sideline stripes. No score from Columbus, Ohio on a beautiful November afternoon. Wide to the right is Kurt Stevenson. Wide to the left is Jimmy Smith. It's Lido deep and Davis close, and Ricky Leach under center looks at the 5-2-4 umbrella defense, and that's just what he's looking at right now. He fakes to Davis, pitches off to Lido over the 45-50 midfield stripe, and down to the Ohio State 48-yard line. Bowish makes the tackle, number 26. Tom Roche is the way you pronounce it. R-O-W-S-H is the phonetical pronunciation. There is a Michigan man shaken up on the play, and while they're working on him, he being the number 1 offensive tool that Michigan has, Rob Lido, let's pause for a message over this, the very distraught with Rob Lido hurt Michigan Football Network. With a play-by-play microphone, Michigan back in the huddle. Rob Lido went out under his own power. Harlan Huckabee is in, the sophomore sensation from Detroit, averaging 7.5 yards a carry. Michigan has the ball 2nd and 3. Huckabee deep and Davis close to 2 sophomores at the tandem of the eye. There's Davis. He has a first down to the Buckeye 45-yard line. He's just over the 45. I was maybe a little premature in there. Remember, the series started just over the Michigan 45-yard line. It is a first down. The 3rd first down of the ball game. This drive that was started with about 1.5 minutes remaining in the first period has moved the ball from the Wolverines 21-yard line all the way down to the Ohio State 45, and this is controlled, sustained momentum football, the kind Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes both love. Wide to the right is Stevenson. Wide to the left comes Jimmy Smith. It's Huckabee deep and Davis close, and Ricky Leach under center looking at a 7-man front. He gives it off to Huckabee, who spins away from a tackle and is dropped at the 43-yard line. Harlan Huckabee, who has, coming into the ball game, run the ball 147 times for 859 yards. 11 touchdowns for this sophomore this year, 14 on his career. As Michigan now, there it is, the end of the first period, 15 minutes into the record book. Michigan moving over this, the Michigan Football Network. Up over the ball comes Walt Downing. The line follows its balance. Wide to the right is Stevenson. Wide to the left is Jimmy Smith. Ricky Leach is under center. The referee now is talking things over with the umpire, and he's checking things out, going back behind the tailback, who is Harlan Huckabee. Okay, Michigan, 2nd and 8 on the Ohio State 43-yard line. There is the keep by Ricky Leach, and he throws downfield, and it's too high. The intended receiver, Gene Johnson, wide open down at the Buckeye 19-yard line. Gene Johnson, coming into the game, had caught 7 passes for 54 yards and 3 big touchdowns. That time, his old teammate, Ricky Leach, in high school up there in the Flint area, couldn't quite get that ball down enough. Ricky Leach, a left-handed passer, who coming into the game had 46 out of 87. Here this afternoon, he's thrown 2, completed none. Ohio State is 1 for 3. Okay, here it is, the third down situation. 3rd and 8. Pro set. Huckabee deep. Davis close. Ricky Leach goes back. The drop play to Davis. He's up over the 40. He cuts back in at the 40, at the 36, and he is still shy. He is shy of the first down by about 1.5 yards at the Ohio State 36-yard line. It brings up 4th down, and one man will make this decision. Will it be Bobby Wood? I doubt very much, because he would attempt a 54-yard field goal. I don't think Bo will punt here, because Ohio State had the ball the last time on a punt return by Jeff Logan at their own 43-yard line on the return. So even if Michigan doesn't make it, here comes Rob Lido back in. Harlan Huckabee goes out. So wide to the left goes Jimmy Smith. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. The first key play of the ball game. No score with 14 minutes left in the first quarter. There's the draw play to Rob Lido. He doesn't make it. Rob Lido doesn't make it on the draw play through left tackle. And Brzezinski, his old teammate in high school, probably his best friend, brought him down defensively from that right end position of Ohio State. And the Buckeyes take over Ohio State's defense. That was the blue chip that they came into this ball game with, and it certainly rose to the occasion on that particular situation. Michigan with 4th and 1.5 turns the ball over to the Buckeyes. No score from Columbus, Ohio. A real barn burner. Donnybrook wide to the right is Jones. Wide to the left is Harrell. I formation, Logan deep. There's Johnson up through the center. Picks up 1.5 yards at the most. Big Pete Johnson, who coming into the game had carried the ball 164 times for 677 yards. Pete Johnson actually has been ailing all year. He hurt his ankles early in the season when Ohio State was playing that second game against Missouri, a game that the Buckeyes lost 22-21. Pete Johnson hurt both ankles, and he's not the Pete Johnson of a year ago who rambled for over 1,000 yards. Hyatt is in now, wide to the left, along with Harrell. There is Pacenta. He gives to Johnson, and Johnson picks up 2.5, maybe 3 more yards over the 40 to the Buckeye 43-yard line before he's dropped in there by Jimmy Pickens, making his 64th tackle of the season, his 2nd this afternoon. Doggone it, we just keep referring to this as a boxing match between 2 fighters. Neither team has really opened up too much. Michigan has thrown or attempted 2 passes. One, the man was open, it was overthrown, and the other one was incomplete. Ohio State is 1 for 3. Michigan is 0 for 2. Wide to the right is Jones. Wide to the left is Harrell. Underneath center, of course, is Pacenta. He's back for a pass. He cocks his arm. He can't find a receiver. He throws downfield, and it's caught as he goes out of bounds, but it's incomplete. He couldn't hold on to the ball inbounds, so it is incomplete. Herman Jones trying to collect his 4th reception of 1976. And so Ohio State's number 1 punter again. The last time this lad punted, he punted the ball only 45 yards. I say only 45. Any punter in the nation would have been happy with that. But his 3 previous punts were 58, 56, and 46 yards. Anderson has 3, 2 44-yard kicks, and 1 bad one at 36 yards. Considering the fact he's been injured, though, that's good. There is Gladany. There it goes again. A booming long kick. It's Jimmy Smith at the Michigan 10. He's up to the Wolverine 15. He's up to the 20, the 32, the 35, 37-yard line. Beautiful return by Jimmy Smith, the Blue Island, Illinois senior, swivel-hipping his way down that eastern sideline. bringing back a 50-yard kick, 27 yards, which negates 23 yards of that punt. And so Michigan in good field position, thanks to the excellent punt return and a key block thrown down there. The key block was thrown back there by Pickens that enabled Jimmy Smith to move all the way down that eastern sideline. And so now the Wolverines on the offense once again, and there's timeout down in the playing field. No passes completed on either side of the line of scrimmage. It's really being fought up there in those trenches, and neither team has much to crow about. Michigan with a 30-yard advantage on the ground so far, but no scoring. The Wolverines first and 10 from their own 37-yard line. It's Lytle deep and Davis close in the I formation, tight on the right side at the slot is Jimmy Smith. There is the drop play again to Rob Lytle. He's up over the 40 to 41-yard line before he is dropped in there by Thompson, the number 2 tackler on the Ohio State team from Waverly, Ohio. He's had 124 tackles coming into the ball game, and his counterpart on the other side, the linebacker, Tom Casino, is the number 1 tackler with 141. Both of these linebackers of Ohio State are fantastic football players. The whole front 7 actually are. The Wolfman, the 2 linebackers, and the 5 men up front. Looking that over is Ricky Leach, 2nd and 8 at the Buckeye 40 and at the Wolverine 40 and a half. There it is. Russell Davis up over the 45 to the 47-yard line. Just about putting the ball midway between the sideline stripes, right on one of those parts of the Scarlet O. You know, through the years, Michigan's had 67 All-Americans, 14 under Bo. Ohio State's had 68, 37 under Woody. 2 of the great coaches of our lifetime, certainly. Battling it out here on a beautiful November afternoon for a chance to go to the Rose Bowl, the coveted bid that has evaded Michigan for 5 long years. 2 tight ends in a balanced line, 3rd and 1. The I formation, Lytle deep and Davis close. Hang on to your maize and blue kilocycles. It's Ricky Leach under center, and Ricky Leach goes out and keeps the ball, and he's going to go for the first down over the midfield stripe to the Ohio State 47-yard line. Beautiful option running as he went down the line, and then as he saw that his tailback and co-captain Rob Lytle was being covered, he just faked the pitch just for a second, enough to pull an Ohio State man a step too far. Then he cut back inside of that Ohio State man over the midfield stripe into Buckeye territory to the Ohio State 47-yard line. Michigan, the last time they had the ball, moved the ball all the way from their own 21-yard line down to the Buckeye 34-yard line where they turned it over on 4th down. Ricky Leach with 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Wide to the right is Jimmy Smith. I formation, Lytle deep and Davis close. Ricky Leach looks at a 5-2-4 umbrella, and then he gives it off to Lytle on the deep pitch. Brings up 2nd down and 8. Michigan has 4 first downs. Ohio has yet to pick up a first down. 2 men wide out to the left. It's Stevenson way wide out. Jimmy Smith at the slot. Lytle deep, Davis close. Fake to Davis, back for pass in the midfield stripe. Throwing the bomb, and he trips over the official. He trips over the official. He, being Kurt Stevenson, tripped over the official. The head linesman down there couldn't get out of the way. And boy, oh boy, I'm sure the coaches will have a few things to say about that. Although, in fairness to the official, the ball was way over the head of the intended receiver, and the halfback covering back there was Mike Guest, who has had 2 pass interceptions. You know, those Buckeyes have been devastating on picking up turnovers. They've picked up 34 so far this year, 22 pass interceptions. They've recovered 12 fumbles by 10 enemies so far in 1976. But they're very alert on pass defense, as Ricky Leach is finding out, as Leach is now 0 for 3 in passing. It'll bring up 3rd down and 8. Pro set. Stevenson wide to the right. Smith wide to the left. A roll-out play-action pass. He throws it downfield, and it's incomplete. The man it was intended for down here was the fullback, Russell Davis. He couldn't hold on to the ball at the 40-yard line of Ohio State. A punting situation for Michigan's John Anderson, who has booted that ball 3 times. Once 44, once 36, and the last time 44. This time he doesn't want as much distance as he wants to get it high up in the air. He wants to hang some clothes on this one, high enough for a clothesline so that the 7 linemen can get down. There it is, high end over end. It's going to be a good bounce. It hits on the 5-yard line, and it's going to roll dead on the 3-yard line. A beautiful bounce for Michigan. As John Anderson, as we said, didn't want to get a distance punch. He just wanted a nice 41-yarder. A 44-yarder would have been negated because it would have been brought out as a touchback. And so Ohio now, deep in their own territory, they have yet to pick up a first down. They call timeout, and we call time in. So we're right in the center of the second quarter. Ohio State has the ball with their back to their goal line on their own 3-yard line. 2 wide outs. Hyatt along with Harrell. And there's a handoff to Logan. And he quits away at the 5 to the 10. He broke a tackle at the 5-yard line. Great running in there by Jeff Logan. That North Canton tailback who Woody Hayes says reminds him an awful lot of Archie Griffin. And you remember Archie Griffin, the Heisman Award winner in 74 and 75, Heisman Award winner, and also the lad who picked up over 100 yards, 31 different games, but against Michigan, he only scored 1 touchdown in 4 years and averaged 47 yards a game in 4 seasons. There's a handoff to Johnson. Oh, is he hit in there by Tom Sebron? That sophomore from Cass Tech in Detroit. He's a teammate of Harlan Hucklebee's. That big 6'4", 212-pounder who can run the 109.8 and the 220. You trackman, get this. He can go 9.8 in the 100 and 21.2 in the 220. Now, that really is picking him up and laying him down. And he met Pete Johnson. And I'll tell you, Johnson knew he was hit right there at the 10-yard line. It brings up 3rd down and 3. Logan deep, Johnson close. The I formation. Logan has it. He needs 3. He gets it. He's away to the 19-yard line. Jeff Logan picks up the first down of the ball game for Ohio State, and they never needed it at a more opportune time because in that last situation, Ohio State, the offense was called on, and they produced. They hadn't picked up a first down in the first 22 minutes of the first half, and here with their backs to the goal line on the 3-yard line, they now have it 1st and 10 at their own 19. High formation, Logan deep and Johnson close. 2 wide outs. There is a handoff to Johnson. He is hit right there at the 23-yard line. Pete Johnson is carrying the ball quite a bit here this afternoon, but he's not picking up sizable yardage. He's just grinding it out. That Johnson lad is real good inside the opponent's 10-yard line. That's where he's made most of his 57 touchdowns. You remember, he was the lad that scored all 3 touchdowns a year ago in that fateful 21-14 defeat at the hands of Ohio State a year ago. It's Logan deep, and Logan has the ball, and he's hit right there at the line of scrimmage at the 24-yard line on 2nd and 6. It'll be 3rd down now and about 5.5. Johnson actually has carried the ball 7 times for 19 yards, so that's just under 3 yards per carry. And coming into the ball game, in 164 carries, he's averaged just 4 yards a carry. So this big fullback is, as they say in the football vernacular, could have picked up a little bit of so-called senioritis. Not quite as effective as he was a year ago when he ran for over 1,100 yards. There's a handoff to Logan. He needs the first down, but he doesn't get it. It was 5.5 to go, and he picked up 2.5, and he's smothered right there at the 27-yard line. So it brings up 4th down, and here comes Stalemate. The last time Stalemate punted, he punted a boomer 50 yards all the way down to the northeast corner where Jimmy Smith brought it back up the eastern sideline 27 yards all the way back to the Michigan 38-yard line. A beautiful punt return. Then Michigan picked up another first down, and then they were forced to punt. Johnson punted to the Buckeye 3. Ohio State's moved it out to the Buckeye 27, where it's 4th down. Stalemate again from his own 13-yard line. Oh, my goodness, there it is. Jimmy Smith at the 19. Fumbles the ball. He can't pick it up. Now he has it. He dances away at the 50. He's at the 20 and out of bounds at the 23-yard line. And the star of this ball game so far on Ohio State's side has been Tom Stalemate, the punter, and on Michigan's side has been the great punt returns by Jimmy Smith when he's seemingly trapped back in there, and then he eludes those would-be Ohio State tacklers, who incidentally are great tacklers. They aren't shoddy tacklers. 7 of the 11 Ohio State defensemen are slated to be in professional football over the next 2 years. A 57-yard kick. That's what's keeping Ohio State in this ball game. They only have 1 first down. An 8-yard return. 1st and 10 at their own 24-yard line. Lido deep and Davis close. Ricky Leach under center. He has a pro set with the end and the halfback. There he is over the 30, the 32, the 34-yard line. It's Russell Davis picking them up and laying them down like a big bull with a bee in his ear, and in and out of the hands of 2 would-be tacklers. And incidentally, let's give some credit up front to Donahue and Dufek, who blocked beautifully and opened up a fine hole for their sophomore fullback, Russell Davis. Remember, Michigan only graduates 2 seniors in their first 22 offensive men. And what a 2-senior combination they are. Co-captain Rob Lytle, all Big Ten split end, Jimmy Smith. It'll be 1st and 10 for Michigan. Lytle deep and Davis close. The Wolverines now have 5 first down. There's a delayed handoff to Lytle, and he's hit right there for a loss at the 34-yard line. Rob Lytle was hit right there. Call it the 34-yard line. That's just where the ball was carried to by Russell Davis on the previous play. So Rob Lytle picks up absolutely nothing on the play as the ball rests 18 yards in from the eastern sideline. You know, Russell Davis, interestingly enough, talking about picking up yardage, has never lost a yard as a freshman or a sophomore fullback at Michigan. Never lost a yard in running from the line of scrimmage. 2 wideouts. Davis fakes the ball from Leach. Leach keys it. Leach is going to run with it. He's running for dear life out of bounds at the 34-yard line. That was 2nd down and 9, and he found no running room. He found Jimmy Smith covered with a blanket of scarlet and gray down that eastern sideline. Casino, the number 1 tackler of Ohio State, just piggyback rode Leach right into the lap of Bo Schembechler along that eastern sideline. No score from Columbus, Ohio. 5 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the first half. Michigan has 5 first downs. Ohio State has 1. Both teams have thrown 4 passes. Ohio State's completed 1. Ricky Leach has yet to complete a pass. This is it. 3rd and 10 for Michigan. Davis close. Lido deep. They're both blocking for Ricky Leach, and he's going to throw. Notes are out here in the right flat. Incomplete. The intended receiver was Gene Johnson. Ricky Leach was really belted back there at the 25-yard line after he threw the ball. And it brings up Johnny Anderson with 4 minutes and 53 seconds. And the Ohio State crowd comes to life here, hoping that Jeff Logan, along with Ohio State's Allegro, number 22, can bring back this punt and give Ohio State good field position. The line of scrimmage is a Michigan 34. Johnny Anderson is standing at the Wolverine 18 yards in at the hash line. There is a snap from center. Ohio State's working for a return. There is the kick, and the Michigan men are there. At the 34-yard line, he's hit and dropped right there, Logan. No chance. Because you notice, if you were watching and if you're listening, that Anderson, realizing he had a lot of time to punt, that Ohio was planning a return, took lots of time to allow his offensive lineman to get down there so that when he did punt and Logan did catch it, even though Logan had 4 men out in front blocking, Michigan had 4 men right there waiting to make the tackle. A 40-yard punt with no return whatsoever. That was good, heady work on the part of John Anderson, Don.
Finally, the one fella came in and almost blocked it, but John was thinking, like you mentioned, they were prepared for the return, and then I thought maybe Logan might signal for a catch, and he did, and he got popped by 3 or 4 guys right quick and dropped right on the 25-yard line.
Yes, sir, when you talk about Jimmy Smith, God darn it, you run out of superlatives. He's a great pass-catching end. As you know, offensively, Jimmy Smith so far this year has caught 24 passes for 662 yards, and ironically enough, at the end of 12 games last year, he had caught 24 passes for 553 yards. Jimmy Smith has 15 touchdowns on his career, 14 on the reception of passes, and 1 for a run. And also, it's interesting to note that Jimmy Smith, over his long career at Michigan, over 4 years, he played as a freshman in 73, has 71 career receptions. That's tied for 3rd on the all-time list. So Ohio State now, 1st and 10, with Logan deep and Johnson close. Facetta's back for a pass. He can't find the receiver. He breaks away, and he's going to run. He's up to 25. Hit at the 30, the 32, the 33-yard line. Beautiful scrambling in there by Jim Facetta because Michigan had him trapped, and this is a lad, Don, who isn't supposed to be a scrambling quarterback. That's the kind of play you expect from Gerald, the very fleet, elusive quarterback that they had in their first 3 ball games. But here in this ball game, Facetta is running those broken plays beautifully.
It fooled me, Bob. He almost looked like a cherry picker coming around and picking it off, but he did a good job.
One of those old naked reverses. Okay, it's 2nd and 3. DeLaw play. Oh, it's Logan hit in there. He needed 3, and he picked up 1. It's Sebron in there, who you remember on the last series that Ohio State had the ball. Sebron came in and decked Johnson down at the 10-yard line. But that time Sebron came in, and you know, Sebron is having a break in that he really wasn't in there as a starter until Johnny Anderson hurt his knee 2 weeks ago. And then Sebron started last week against Illinois, did a tremendous job, and now he is earning his spurs out here as a defensive end. Let me tell you, it'll be 3rd down and 3. Facetta's out to the right. There he pitches, and Logan's open to 40, to 45. The midfield stripe, and he drives to the Michigan 45-yard line. Boy, that was beautiful option play by Ohio State. Facetta waited till the last minute. Facetta, being the Ohio State quarterback, pitched it out to Logan, who was trailing, and they completely outflanked the entire Michigan forward wall, linebackers, halfbacks, and it was Dwight Hicks, the safety man, who made sure, as Dwight Hicks picks up his 43rd tackle of the season, and had Logan gotten by Hicks, Katie barred the door. Had been Ohio State 6. Wide to the right is Hyatt. Wide to the right, short is Harrell. There is Pacetta has the ball. He breaks it over the 40, the 35, down to the 30. He's down the 25 to the 23. And Graves makes the tackle. Ohio State with 3 minutes and 18 seconds remaining on the clock brings this crowd of over 88,000 people to their feet. Remember, you have 84,000 Ohio fans, and they're going stark raving bananas right now as the Buckeyes have moved down and are threatening for the first time this afternoon. Wide to the right is Jones. Wide to the right on the slot is Harrell. It's Logan deep and Johnson close, and Logan has the ball. And Logan's hit right there at the 23-yard line by Tedesco. Tedesco and Sebron, two great defensive ends, are making big plays for the white-jerseyed lads from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Calvin O'Neill and Tedesco both in on that tackle. Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan leading the NCAA stats in rushing with 362. UCLA is second with 361. But the stat you care about is Ohio State, 2nd and 9 on the Michigan 29. There's Logan. He's over the 20, the 15, the 12. And Jeff Logan is down to the Michigan 12-yard line. 18 yards in from this, the western sideline. Ohio State has caught fire offensively after a sluggish first period where they picked up no first downs. Right now, Ohio State has picked up their 4th first down, and they had none in the first period. Now they have 4 in the second quarter, and it is wide to the right goes Jones and Harrell. And Jeff Logan asks the crowd to settle down. 1st and 10 at the Michigan 12-yard line, and there is Pacetta handing out to Logan. He's hit right there at the 10. Logan picked up about 2 yards on the play. Hennessy submarining, grabbing legs, and one of them was Jeff Logan. The ball rests 18 yards in from this, the western sideline. Michigan with a front 5 of Tedesco, Morton, Graves, Hennessy, and Sebron. The linebackers O'Neill and Vogley. Jerry Zuber is the Wolf with Pickens and Bolden at the halfback spot, and Dwight Hicks. Those 11 Moeller monsters are determined to keep Ohio State from scoring here. It's Jaco, number 87, in at tight end along with Storer. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Back for a pass is Pacetta. He throws downfield. It's intercepted. Touchback. Intercepted, but there's a flag on the play, and that'll be an automatic touchback for Michigan. The maize and blue thwart the Buckeye scoring attempt as Michigan has it 1st and 10. Send in the Wolverine offense. The official, wait a minute, threw the flag, and all he was indicating was that it was a touchback, nothing more. Right, Don?
No, Bob. What he had offensive pass interference against Ohio State. He threw the flag, and then we intercepted, and so it's our ball 1st and 10 on the 20.
We denied the penalty, in other words. Well, we knew the way the Wolverines were roaring off. We thought for a moment when he threw the flag, but when it should have been an automatic touchback. They do not throw the flag, Ufer, if you'll remember, on a touchback or a touchdown. They indicate with a signal a touchdown or a touchback or a safety. Well, there was a penalty. I appreciate that, Don Lund. You know, it's really nice to have a former official sitting here at a microphone with us. 1st and 10 for the maize and blue. They stop the Buckeyes. This is a game of emotions. Can Michigan pick it up now? Lytle deep and Davis close. We have 1 minute and 26 seconds remaining in the first half. There's Lytle up over the 20, the 25, the 27. Yes, they can pick it up. You can just see the daubers of the scarlet and gray, Lundo, down a little bit. They thought they would come away with at least 3 points on the toe of one of the finest kickers in the history of NCAA football, Tom Skladany, who's been kicking the pig right out of the pigskin here today with booming punts of 46, 56, 58, 45, 50, and 57 yards. He was warming up here in the wings, but Michigan's Dwight Hicks intercepted the ball in the end zone. Check, it was Jerry Zuber who gets credit for that touchback. Lytle deep and Davis close. It'll be 2nd and 2, and there is Davis. He has a first down at the old Michigan 32-yard line. Russell Davis keeps the clock moving with 44 seconds remaining. We have no score from Columbus, old Donnybrook. Everybody said, even Jimmy the Greek dropped the odds from 5.5 to 2.5 this morning at 10 o'clock. And right now, that's just about what it is, an even Steven ball game. Ohio State has 4 first downs, all in the second quarter. Michigan has 6 first downs, 3 in the first quarter, 3 here in the second quarter, as the Wolverines are 1st and 10 on their own 32-yard line. Lytle deep and Davis close, and Lytle follows Davis over the 35, the 40, the 41-yard line. The momentum is switched entirely. The game of emotions is transpiring right in front of your eyes as Ohio State move majestically down the field, all the way from their own 24-yard line, all the way down to the Michigan 10-yard line, where Pacetta had a pass intercepted, and now Michigan has moved from their own 20-yard line with 2 seconds, 1 second. That's all there is. There isn't any more in the first check. There's 1 second left. Check. There's 1 second left, and Michigan called timeout. Why not have time for one play? Ricky Leach has done it before. Remember against Stanford a year ago when Ricky Leach went back with 6 seconds remaining on the clock. And Michigan had the ball on the 49-yard line of the Wolverines, and he dropped back and he cocked his arm and he threw a 51-yard bomb to Jimmy Smith. Smith caught it, the half ended, and Michigan left the field at halftime with a big psychological edge. And, brother, they needed it because that ball game ended up in a tie, you remember, a year ago, 19-19. Little did Michigan realize how significant that touchdown was up there in Ann Arbor against Stanford with only 6 seconds remaining on the clock, and everybody had thought the first half was over. Just as we think this first half is over, we saw the clock go down to 1 second, and then Ricky Leach very alertly said, timeout. This is the last play of the first half. It's second down. 1 yard to go, but that doesn't mean a thing. 58 yards away from the Ohio State. A drop play to Davis. He's over the 45 to the 47. Michigan picks up 7 more yards in the first half. Wow, it's been a real hectic first 30 minutes. All the statistics about even. Michigan with 6 first downs, Ohio State with 4. But Bob Foreman and Don Lund will be back with more statistics, more of the color, the charisma that surrounds Michigan-Ohio State football. The score is Michigan zip, Ohio State zip. All this over this, the Michigan Football Network. Wolverines have 3 men deep, Lytle, Clayton, and Smith, and kicking off is Tom Skladany. He approaches, it's end over end, and it looks as though Jimmy Smith is going to watch it go out of the end zone. Tom Skladany has an educated toe here today. And look at that Ohio State man down at the 20-yard line. Grab that Wolverine by the arm and just throw him to the ground. Boy, I tell you, these fellas ask no quarter and they give no quarter. This is for blood out here, and this is going to be the doggonest 30 minutes of football. Michigan offensively has Rob Lytle at tailback, Russell Davis at fullback, Jimmy Smith at the wing. Ricky Leach at quarterback, Johnson and Stevenson at the ends, Ken and Dufek at the tackles, Lewis and Donahue at the guards, with Walt Dining over the ball at center. Wide to the right, Jimmy Smith. Wide to the left, Kurt Stevenson. Lytle deep and Davis close, 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line. Ricky Leach looks over a tight 5-2. That's a 70 front. And then Ricky Leach keeps it. He's up over the 25. He twists to the 28-yard line. 8 yards on the first play of the second half after Ohio State's Tom Skladany booted the ball out of sight way beyond the goalpost at the north end, the closed end of this Horseshoe Stadium. And we are all set with Michigan 2nd and 2 from the lone 28-yard line. The Wolverines in the first quarter, as you know, picked up 3 first downs. Ohio State countered with zip. Michigan picked up another 4 first downs in the second quarter. Ohio State equaled that with 4 first downs. Ohio had 108 yards in the first half. Michigan 107. Michigan 2nd and 2. Davis deep. Lytle has it. He does not get anywhere. He loses a yard. Actually, I don't think he lost a yard. He's just about where the ball was after Ricky Leach took it on the first play. So it'll be 3rd down and 2. And Nick Bonamici, with 80 tackles coming into the ball game, has just made his 4th individual tackle this afternoon. He's had 2 assists in the first half of this ball game. Ohio State with a 5-man front. Danzler, Beeman, Brown, Bonamici, and Brodzinski. Looking that over is Ricky Leach, 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Lytle deep and Davis close. A 3rd down situation, 3rd and 2 at their own 28-yard line. Ricky Leach keeps the ball. He hands off to Davis. 1st down, Michigan, over the Wolverine 30-yard line. Russell Davis has been a real workhorse here this afternoon. He has borne the brunt of Michigan's attack. As since the Wolverines have not completed a pass here this afternoon, Ohio State is 1 for 5. Ricky Leach is zipped for 5. So the Wolverines, 107 yards, are all on the ground, and I would guess, although I haven't seen it, that Russell Davis has most of those yards on the ground. Actually, the 2 stars in the game, Tom Skladany's punting and Jimmy Smith's punt returns. Smith wide to the right, along with Stevenson. It's the I formation. Lytle deep and Davis close. 1st and 10 on their own 31-yard line. Pitches off to Lytle. He's up over the 30, cuts the 35, down to the 40 to 45, and he is dropped there. 1st down, Michigan. The Maize and Blue have taken the second half kickoff after it was out of the end zone from the Wolverine 20, and they have picked up their 2nd first down here in the second half. Their 9th first down of the ball game. They have it 1st and 10 on their own 45-yard line, and the momentum right now is Maize and Blue on this beautiful November afternoon. This sun-swept tartan surface with 88,000 fans here in attendance. 60 million on TV along with you and me, and we're anxiously awaiting these final 28 minutes of play. Lytle deep and Davis closed, 1st and 10, and there it is up over the 37-yard line. He picks up about 2 yards on the play. Russell Davis brought down by Aaron Brown, the nose guard, the middle man on that 5-man front. Ohio State's front 5 right now, averaging defensively. 230 pounds a man. Michigan offensive front goes at 232. Give the Wolverines a plus of 2 pounds per man, which means absolutely nothing. But it does mean something when you have quickness. All 7 of those men you're seeing right now going over the ball can break the 40-yard, can do it under 5 seconds flat. There's Lytle deep and Davis close at 2nd down and 8 at their own 38-yard line. Right. It keeps it. Leach keeps up over the midfield stripe to the Ohio State 48-yard line, maybe the 47-yard line. Scrambling, good option play that time as Ricky Leach reading the defense beautifully, as he did on Michigan's drive in the first half, where he moved from his own 21 all the way down to the Buckeye 32-yard line, where on 4th down, Michigan failed to pick it up. The only threat Ohio had, they moved down to the Wolverine 10-yard line, where Pacena's pass was intercepted by Jerry Zuber in the Wolverine end zone for a touchback, and that's been the story of the ball game, except the booming punts of Tom Skladany, 6 of them at an average of 51 yards a kick. Lytle deep and Davis close, 3rd and 3 at the Ohio State 47-yard line. There is a broken play, and Ricky Leach is going to make the first down to the 40, the 35. He cuts away to the 30. He's down to the 26-yard line. Ricky Leach, beautiful running by that sophomore. Donald Lundo, that was a broken play, and it couldn't have been more developed or better handled than Ricky handled that one.
Certainly was, Bob, and it was just quick thinking. That's the thing that can kind of be the break in the ball game that we're talking about. And there was one right there, and good quick thinking by Leach, and a fine run.
So now, bring out the Wolverines. Up over the ball offensively. Here comes Walt Downing. Wide to the left this time is Kurt Stevenson. Jimmy Smith at the slot on tight on the left side. Lytle deep and Davis close, 1st and 10 on the Buckeye 26-yard line. Under center is Ricky Leach. He's looking at an 8-man front, and then he rolls out to the right. He pitches forward to Lytle, and Lytle's down to the 20, down to the 15-yard line. Nobody called it, but boy, that looked forward to me, Lundo, as he pitched that ball out to Rob Lytle. We're right at the 25-yard line, and that's just where he pitched it. First down, Michigan. That's a Buckeye 16-yard line. This is the furthest penetration by Michigan. They have taken the second half kickoff just as they did in 1973. With a score 10-10 at halftime, Michigan took the second half kickoff, and I'm not going to remind you that Dennis Franklin had his heart broken as the Buckeyes intercepted in the Ohio State end zone to stop the drive, but Michigan came back with 10 more points to tie up the game. Ohio State led 10-0 at the half. Now it's 0-0 at the half. Michigan has it 1st and 10 at the Buckeye 16-yard line. There goes Lytle down the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6-yard line. Rob Lytle, that jet from Fremont, Ohio, ran down the center of the Buckeye defense like a penguin with a hot herring in his cummerbund, all the way down to the Buckeye 6-yard line. The ball rests 21 yards in from this, the western sideline. Lewis, Downing, and Donahue walking their hearts out up front. Those unsung heroes in the trench up front offensively are all set with 2nd and 1 at the Buckeye 7-yard line. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Wide to the left is Jimmy Smith. Lytle deep and Davis close. And Ricky Leach under center at quarterback on the long count. And he heads off to Lytle, and Lytle's hit right in. Boy, is he hit at the 7-yard line. He is racked up in there by Brodzinski along with Bonamici and Aaron Brown, and Ohio State is putting up a great defensive goal line stand. This is the same end of the field that in the closing 3 minutes in 1972, Michigan had a 1st and goal at the Buckeye 4-yard line, just where they have it now, only it's at the hash line at the 7-yard line instead of the 4. In 4 plays, they couldn't do it. Now they have 3rd and 1 at the Ohio State 7. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Lytle deep and Davis close, and Ricky Leach under center. He's looking at a 9-2 defensive line. He pulls Ohio State offside, and Lytle gets the first down. But more important, Michigan's Rob Lytle, after taking the ball, looked up, and he has a smile right now, and he says to Ricky Leach, he says, sophomore or not, baby, you called that one. Ohio State now, it'll be a penalty, and it looked to me as though it was against Ohio because Ricky Leach changed his cadence on the snap under center. He pulled the Buckeyes offside. Ricky Leach did that down at Purdue on their sustained drive before they missed the field goal, but he kept that drive alive. He's picked up an automatic first down via the penalty. Rob Lytle had it anyway, and now Michigan has the ball just where they had it 4 years ago in the closing 4 minutes of the ball game. Hang on to your maize and blue hats. Up over the ball is Walt Downing. The line follows 2 tight ends in a balanced line. It's Lytle deep and Davis close. The I formation 1st and goal at the 3.5-yard line. Ricky Leach under center. He's taking a long count, and he's giving the ball. Davis scores! Russell Davis going berserk into the end zone. The Bo George Patton Schembechler scoring horn finds Russell Davis rambling in for his 5th touchdown of 1976. He has had 7 in his career. He has 5 this year and 2 last year as a freshman, and he'll never forget this one here on this beautiful November afternoon, November 20th to be exact of 1976, when the two teams battled to a scoreless tie in the first half, and then Davis climaxed an 80-yard drive as he went all the way down into the end zone from 3-yard line. Ufer is going out. He's holding. Bobby Wood kicks. There it is. The old patent scoreboard shows Michigan 7. The Buckeyes zip. The momentum is maize and blue, and we have a halo of maize and blue right here at the stadium and over this, the Michigan Football Network. Of Michigan's 97-year history of intercollegiate football, 80 yards and 11 plays. The momentum is maize and blue. But remember, it's not all over. Oh, how well we remember last year. With 7 minutes and 10 seconds to go, Ricky Leach went into the Buckeye end zone, and Ohio State hadn't had a first down in 38 minutes. And those Buckeyes, those big, bad, hairless nuts from here in Columbus, scored twice. This game is far from being over. Michigan had the ball 6 minutes and 11 seconds. That's Schembechler's football. That's the old George Patton on the ground. Momentum, ball control. The big play in the 80-yard drive was the broken play by Ricky Leach, who broke, didn't hand off. The man wasn't there. He turned around and came down to the Ohio State 26-yard line from the Buckeye 43, and then he pulled Ohio offsides on a dramatic situation at the 6-yard line, and then Russell Davis went in untouched, unblemished for 6 big ones. Here comes Bobby Wood, and it's end over end. It's not a good kick. It hits on the 15. It rolls down to the 10. It's taken by Springs. Springs is at the 15. He's hit by Moeller's Monsters at the 17-yard line. Coming down underneath that Greer, Mackel, DeSantis, Pickens, Poddick, Sebron, Howard, you name it. They were all in on that. It's an aroused band, the Wolverines right now, leading the Buckeyes. A stunned, hushed crowd of 84,000 fans. They got 10,000 alumni and 74,000 truck drivers here with 4,000 Michigan alums. That's the composite of this 88,000 here in the Horseshoe right now. It's Logan Deep and Johnson close, and there goes Facen, and he hands off to Johnson. Oh, man, as he wrestled back to the 15-yard line. Tedesco, Morton, and Hennessy driving in. That Chicago, Illinois senior hurls that big number 71 through that trench up front. He knocked down co-captain Bill Lukens, and he teamed up with Morton and Tedesco, and they dropped that big 255-pound fullback. Boom! That's what you say, putting the kick in the pigskin. Up over the ball comes Mark Lang. The line follows its balance. 2 wide outs. It'll be Hyatt along with Harrell. There is Paterno. Pacetta back. He's hit back there, and he swallows the ball at the 14-yard line. We weren't going to call that too quick, Lendo, because in the first half, Pacetta scrambled out 3 different times on similar situations, and I imagine Gary Moeller talked to his defense about that, saying, get those arms out, grab that guy, because he is a scrambler.
You're right, Bob, and he had faked once, he faked twice, and apparently there just wasn't anybody available, and finally we prevailed, the defense prevailed, and knocked him down. So Moeller told him correctly, and you told Moeller that was the thing to do, and so everything worked out well.
Okay, 80 yards and 11 plays. Lido 5 times for 34 yards. Leach 3 times for 34 yards. Davis 3 times, and, of course, the big touchdown from the 3-yard line. There's a handoff to Logan. He's hit back there at the 14-yard line. Oh, who says football's not a game of emotions? Who says the old maize and blue Daubers aren't sky high right now as Michigan's offense moved 80 yards and 11 plays, and then Bobby Wood kicked the extra point, and then Gary Moeller's Monsters came back out here, and they have stuffed Ohio State, and Scaldani will have to kick for the first time this afternoon in the Buckeye end zone. No, check, call it the goal line. He's right there in the shadow, literally and figuratively in the shadow of the Ohio State goalpost. There is the snap, a nice snap. Here it goes, another 50-yarder. Jimmy Smith at the Michigan 35. He takes it. It's up to the 40. He's hit at the 45 and dropped at the 47-yard line. Michigan leading in the ball game 7-0. The Wolverines have the ball on their own 47-yard line, and the complexion of the ball game has changed from the middle of the second period from scarlet and gray to early here in the second half to maize and blue. A 51-yard kick with a 12-yard return as Michigan's offense is in there. Hanlon's Hustlers up front. And Stobart Stallions behind with Lido deep, and Davis will be close, and Jimmy Smith will be on the wing, flanked wide out to the right. Ricky Leach at quarterback, and it's all going to come to you over this, the Michigan 7-0 Football Network. And I tell you, it's a smiling band of crewmen we have here. Old Bill Pratula, he can remember his glory days back at Michigan. One of the 7 oak posts of Fritz Chrysler's team in 1942. And then one of the Mad Magicians of the greatest team Michigan had until this year, the 1947 Mad Magicians. It's Lido deep and Davis close. Ricky Leach is under center. Smith is tight on the right side at the slot. There goes Ricky Leach. He's rolling out. He pitches off the line of them into the Ohio State 40. Down to the Buckeye 36-yard line. Majestically rolls the big blue machine. Blocking up front the backside guard. You know who it was. Last year's captain who ate his heart out all through the first part of this year. Kirk Lewis pulling out, leading Rob Lytle. 2 captains in their own year. And Kirk Lewis threw the key block that moved Lytle over the 45-yard line of Ohio State down to the Buckeye 36. Michigan leads in the ball game 7-0. Wide to the left goes Jimmy Smith. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. This Lido deep and Davis close, and under center is Ricky Leach. A draw play to Lido. He's over the 35, twisting and turning that little frame of his. Boy, I think this Rob Lido could run 15 minutes in a phone booth and never touch the sides. That's how elusive he's being here this afternoon. That little rascal. Well, remember when we had on tape 2 games ago, we said, Rob, you've had a fantastic career. You've had 3 years at Michigan. What's been your biggest thrill? If you heard the tape, Rob Lido said, Mr. Ufer, I'm looking forward to my biggest thrill in 4 years of football on November 20th, right down in Columbus, Ohio. Well, that day is here. Michigan has the ball, 2nd and 6 on the Buckeye 32-yard line. Let's say Mr. Lido is deep. And there's Davis up over the 30, the 29. Russell Davis is playing football personified here today, the workhorse, a la Ohio State fashion. You know, Lundo, Ohio State has always had a great fullback. Then they have the elusive halfback and the very, very elusive quarterback to go around him. And that's been the story of Michigan's attack here. It's been that Russell Davis carrying the ball, wearing him down, and then Ricky Leach, great option playing, running on that broken play on that 80-yard touchdown drive. Then Ricky Leach pulling him off sides, and then Rob Lido going now, hell-bent for election down this Maud Sod. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Lido deep and Davis close, 2 tight ends in a balanced line, and Ricky Leach looks at an 8-man front. And then he goes back and gives to Lido. He has a first down to the Buckeye 22-3-yard line. Lido has carried the ball 19 times for 106 yards. Rob Lido, he's already joined Gordy Bell and Ron Johnson as the only 3 backs to ever gain over 1,000 yards in 2 successive years at Michigan. And even though Ohio has had some great halfbacks, they've only had 1 back. And you know who that is. Old Archie Griffin. He's the only back to ever run over 1,000 yards in 2 successive years. Michigan has had Johnson, Bell, and now Rob Lido. 1st and 10 for Michigan at the Buckeye 23-yard line. Lido deep and Davis close. Davis has the ball. He barreled right there at the 20-yard line. Call it the 20.5-yard line. Aaron Brown in there at the middle guard. It is a hushed, subdued Ohio State crowd. Oh, how we remember 10 years ago today right here in this stadium. The final score was Michigan 17, Ohio State 3. 20 years ago in this stadium, the final score with Ron Kramer and Terry Barr, Michigan 19, Ohio State 0. And 30 years ago today, Fritz Chrysler's Mad Magicians 58, Ohio State 6. Right now in 76, 30 years later, it's 7-0 Michigan, 2nd and 7 on the Buckeye 20-yard line. Lido deep and Davis close. Michigan goes offside. Too quick that time. I believe it was Kirk Lewis. He just zoomed out there. Well, he's a little older than the rest of the fellas. He's been playing 5 years now. He took that extra. What do I mean? He's actually in med school. He's probably, IQ-wise, one of the smartest players on the whole Michigan team. But time he missed the signal. And wait a minute, this is all conjecture on Ufer's part. Down on the field, they're settling what's going on. The referee is talking to both captains. The Ohio State captain on defense happens to be Thompson. Ed Thompson's over with Rob Lytle. And it looks as though Michigan might have a penalty assessed against them. They do. Illegal procedure against Kirk Lewis on the left side. The guard jumped before the ball was snapped. So the down box will be 2nd, and now it'll be 12. 2nd and 12. This ball game is far from being over. Remember, Ufer, keep things in its proper perspective. 1,000 years from now, no one will know who won or lost this ball game. That's the way we got to think. Come on, you quiet down. 2 men wide to the right. That's Stevenson and Jimmy Smith. It's Lido deep and Davis close. 2nd and 12 on the 27. There's the end around to Jimmy Smith. He's got 3 blockers down the 25, the 20, the 15, down the 10, the 9-yard line. Beautifully conceived and equally well executed. Michigan had a beautiful play worked out all week long, and Stobart Stallions executed with precision. Shaken up on the play was Walt Downing, the Coatesville, Pennsylvania junior playing center. He was shaken up on the play, but Michigan shook Ohio State up on that beautiful trick play as the flow went to the right. And then instead of pitching to Rob Lytle going to the right, it's Jimmy Smith coming back from the left, took the pitch, had 2 linemen out there in front of him, went down the eastern sideline. 1st and goal to go. The 9 hardest yards in football inside the opponent's 10-yard line. Lytle deep and Davis close, 2 tight ends in a balanced line. There's Lytle, he's down the 10, 9, the 8 to 7-yard line. Rob Lytle is at the 7-yard line. The clock shows 3 minutes and 2 seconds remaining in the 3rd period. Michigan 7 big points. Oh, me, oh, my. The ball rests midway between the sidelines. Right, Ufer, settle down. This ball game is not over. Remember last year, it was 14-7 with 7 minutes to go, and Ohio still won. Fritz Kreisler used to say it's 0-0 at any time in the ball game. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Lytle deep and Davis close. It's the I formation. It'll be 2nd down and 7. There's Russell Davis with the ball. He's over the 5, the 4, the 3-yard line. Beautiful deception on that play as Russell Davis picking them up and laying them down. God bless his cotton-picking Mason Blue Heart. He has been a workhorse down there. He's only a sophomore. Can you visualize Davis deep and Huckabee even deeper on the I formation 2 years from now down at that Golden Dome in South Bend, Indiana? For the first time in 35 cotton-picking years, Michigan's going to play those Fighting Irish. Oh, how well we remember that series in 42 and 43. Come on, Ufer. Let's get back to 1976. Michigan has the ball. 3rd down, 3 yards to go on the Ohio State 3-yard line. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. It's Rob Lytle deep. And Russell Davis close, and Ricky Leach under center. And there is Davis down to the 5. There it is! It is a touchdown! Oh, Russell Davis! Oh, God bless your cotton-picking Mason Blue Heart from all the way down in Virginia. They're going to hear about this from coast to coast. From the coast of Lake Michigan to the coast of Lake Huron, it's Russell Davis in for his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. 52 yards in 9 plays, and the first time it was 80 yards in 11 plays. Michigan leads 13 to zip, and Jerry Ufer is kneeling at the 10-yard line. Calm down, Ufer, calm down. It's spotted. He rolls out to the right. He's going to run with the ball, and he has 2 points. He has 2 points. Oh, Bo Schembechler. Joe Falls, who says he plays dull and boring football. We got to get Joe Falls. He's bored to death up here reading Dale Carnegie's book on how to win friends and influence people. Good old Joe. Did you see that deception, Joe? Did you see Bo Schembechler, who you say never pulls a trick play? Did you see Jerry Ufer have the whole field open? That reminds us of the old fake field goal, Lundo, that Fritz Kreisler used to use. Freddie Trosco beat Ohio State with it in 1939. And then I remember Don Robinson on the fake field goal talking about Notre Dame at South Bend in 1942. And that play with the kneeling quarterback is kneeling there in the 10. Bobby Wood went through with a fake kick. Jerry Ufer picked it up, rolled around to his right, had 2 men in front of him, went right into the end zone, and Michigan has a 15-0 lead. Donald?
Also, on that same play, Jimmy Smith was all alone in the end zone, so that kind of kept them back. They couldn't react. Had they reacted to Ufer, I think he would have just dumped the ball to him, just a little toss. He had the 2 options going, so it was a well-conceived trick play.
And well executed. Beautifully executed. You know, this Jerry Ufer, they wondered whether he could fill the shoes of All-American Don Dufek. Incidentally, we talked to Don Dufek. Do you know he blocked a punt against the Minnesota Vikings last week? He made 7 solo tackles and had 5 assists on the specialty team against the Minnesota Vikings last week. Donnie Dufek out there with those Seattle Seahawks is really making a name for himself in his first year in pro football. But the fellow that filled his shoes, Jerry Ufer, has 5 interceptions. He just ran for a 2-point conversion on a beautifully executed, well-conceived play, as Don Lundo tells us just a few moments ago. There's Bobby Wood kicking for the end zone, end over end. It's going to be a touchback. Automatic touchback. And do you want to know how Michigan moved 52 yards in 9 plays? Lytle, the All-American tailback, carried 4 times for 29 yards. Smitty carried once for 14 yards. Davis carried 4 times for 14 yards. And Michigan, in spite of a 5-yard penalty, still overcame the penalty, rambled down, and Russell Davis went in from the 3-yard line. That's 2 3-yard touchdown runs for Russell Davis. That gives Mr. Davis 8 on his career. It gives him 6 in this, his sophomore year. And Michigan football has never been brighter. The maize and blue is standing out all over those white uniforms. Moeller's Monsters dig in, and Pacetta, number 15, checks his team, rolls out to the right. He's dropped back there for a loss at the 16-yard line. 84,000 Ohio fans are stunned. They're hushed. They're silent. This is almost like the sight of a funeral. Well, listen, I want you football fans to stay with us, because we're going to have the doggonedest funeral service at the end of this podcast that you have ever heard. I promise you, giggles, tee-hee, and ha-ha. If Michigan can continue leading in the game and win it with 1 minute and 16 seconds remaining, there's Pete Johnson taking the fake for center, the 20, the 25, the 30, the 31-yard line. Beautiful broken play by Pacetta. I'm not sure it really was broken, because he faked to Pete Johnson, then kept the ball, and Savacco, the pulling backside guard, moved out there and chopped down Michigan's linebacker, and that opened up a big hole for Pacetta, who rambled up over the 25, the 30, and Ohio State has just picked up their first down of the second half with 1 minute and 2 seconds remaining in the third period. Up over the ball comes Mark Lang. Moeller's Monsters dig in with a 5-2-4. Is Herman Jones wide to the left. There is a throw-out pass, and it is knocked down. Beautifully knocked down in there, incomplete. It's Jerry Zuber in there again with 5 interceptions, and that time he just moved in. He couldn't intercept it, but he deflected away from the intended receiver, Jimmy Harrell. Actually, Ohio State, passing-wise, they have completed 1 for 6. Michigan is zipped for 5, although Michigan did end up catching a pass. It was an interception of a Buckeye pass, a real key interception in the Michigan end zone by Jerry Zuber to stop what appeared to be a certain 3 points by Ohio State in the final 2 minutes of that first half. 2 men wide out to the left, Hyatt and Harrell. There is Pacetta back. He shakes the would-be tackler, throws downfield. It's caught at the 48-yard line by Harrell, and he's dropped immediately by Dwight Hicks. And so Ohio State, not to be outdone, let me tell you, this ball game is not over. It's Michigan 15, Ohio State zip, and 45 seconds remaining in the third period, and then we have 15 minutes. And is there any way to move time forward, Lendo?
I would say not, but sometimes you like to do those things. But I got confidence in our boys. They'll keep battling away.
Okay, 2 men wide out to the left. That's Harrell and Jones. There's Pacetta back for pass again. Cocks his arm. He's throwing way downfield, and it is knocked down. Knocked down. Beautiful knockdown in there by Dwight Hicks and Jim Bolden. The intended receiver was Jimmy Harrell, and naturally those 74,000 truck drivers thought that was pass interference. No way was that pass interference. Why, my goodness, Mrs. Hicks has always taught her son, and Mrs. Bolden has taught her son Jimmy, to always watch the ball on a pass play, because otherwise, son, you will be called for pass interference. And so those boys both looked around. They tipped the ball out of the hands of Jimmy Harrell, and it goes as an incompleted forward pass. Ohio State right now is 2 for 8 in forward passes. They have the ball, 2nd and 10, on their own 48-yard line. Wide to the right is Logan. 1 man back, that's Johnson. 2 men out to the left. A roll-out play-action pass, and he's going to run, and he's going to be trapped at the 40-yard line. And moving in there was Mr. Akron, Ohio, All Big Ten last year, and slated to be All Big Ten, Greg Morton, number 77. Alex Agassi told us that Greg Morton was without question the finest defensive tackle in the Big Ten this year. And Alex Agassi is some kind of a football coach. If you don't believe it, ask him what the score was of the Michigan-Purdue game this year. Ohio State calls timeout, and we call a very maize and blue 15-0 time in. For a word from your host, who is enjoying bringing you this ball game over this, the Michigan Football Network. Ufer and Donland all set third period, and then 15 big minutes of the fourth period, and then stay with us, because God darn it, we got a big final show planned at the end of this ball game. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. But right now, let's take a look at a few things here. On first downs, Michigan has 15. Ohio State has 6. In passes, well, it's been a ground game for old George Patton today. He hasn't gone to the Luftwaffe at all. Ricky Leach has gone back 5 times, and he can come up with a big zip. Ohio State has passed 8 times, completed 2, and had 1 intercepted. by Michigan's Jerry Ufer. Wide to the right is Jones. One man back is Johnson. He's blocking for Facena. Facena's back there, and he's going to be chased, and he's going to eat it. No, he throws upfield, and it's caught. It's caught at the 42-yard line. A beautiful catch up there by Jeff Logan. Boy, I'll tell you, that's passing under pressure. You got to give that youngster, Jim Facena from Akron, Ohio, the quarterback of Ohio State, a lot of credit. He passed with extreme pressure, 3 men on him, and he threw it up that western sideline or eastern sideline. He caught it, he fell out of bounds, and I believe that is the last play of the third period. They're moving the ball down, and I believe that's the last play of the third period, and we're going to pause for a quarter-time message. It's 4th down and a yard to go. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Full house D. Johnson flanked by Logan and Harrell. Johnson has the first down, but there's a flag on the play. There's a flag on the play, and I don't know whether Michigan was offside or whether Ohio was offside. And offside against Michigan. So Ohio will take the penalty because Johnson only picked up 2 yards on the run. Oh, this ball game is far from being over, believe me. Don't get premature, Ufer, doggone it. Remember what we said. Keep it in the proper perspective. 1,000 years from now, no one will know whether Michigan or Ohio State won the ballgame. Michigan's leading now 15-0. Ohio State has just picked up a first down. It happens to be their first of the fourth period, their 7th of the ballgame. Michigan has 15 first downs and 15 points. Michigan had 133 yards in the third quarter. Ohio State had 33 passing, none rushing. There is Facena, flags on the play, and there is a fumble, and it's recovered by Michigan. Michigan recovers an Ohio State fumble, but wait a minute, there's a flag on the play. There's a flag on the play, and I believe it was Ohio State offside, so Michigan will refuse the penalty and take the fumble. Donald.
I got it, Bob. It was their right flanker or end that moved. It was a legal procedure, offside, whatever you want to call it. We'll take the ball.
That's right, and Michigan's defense has just picked up. The Wolverines' defense has just picked up their 31st turnover of the year. They've had 2 here this afternoon, a pass interception that stopped Ohio State cold in the second period from what appeared to be possibly a touchdown and a sure 3 points to end that first half. And now it was recovered in there. I couldn't see. Bill Petrula thinks that Steve Graves recovered. But be that as it may, the main thing is Michigan stopped Ohio State again when the Buckeyes seemed to get a little momentum. Their passing game has come alive here because Lord knows they haven't had anything on the ground in the third period. Absolutely no yardage. 33 yards in the air in the third period to Michigan's 133 yards on the ground. The Wolverines have 15 points. 14 minutes remaining in the ball game. Lido deep and Davis close. It's the I formation with Ricky Leach under center. It's Smitty at the slot on the tight side on the left. There is Rob Lido. Oh, is he smothered, submarined, and grabbed and hurled to the ground at the 44-yard line. He picked up possibly a yard and a half at the most. Rob Lytle playing his last game of 1976 in a Michigan uniform. He will lead the Wolverines along with Calvin O'Neill to Pasadena, California, if they can maintain this 15-0 lead. Ball control here and a touchdown here would just about sew it up. 2 wide outs. That's Stevenson way out. Smitty at the slot out on the left side. Lytle deep and Davis close. It's 2nd and 9. There is the rollout, and Davis is over the 45, still scrambling to the 46-yard line, picking up about 2.5 yards. And here comes a third down situation. Let's check those over. Ohio has converted 2 first downs out of 10. Michigan's Ricky Leach has converted 5 third down situations out of 11. And therein lies the story of many a ball game. In third down situations, Ohio 2 out of 10, no points. Michigan 5 out of 12 and 15 points. Okay. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Lytle deep, Davis close. Jimmy Smith wide to the left. It's a 7-4 defense, and Ricky Leach keeps the ball, and he's going to go up over the midfield stripe, and he's out of bounds at the Buckeye 44-yard line. First down, Ricky Leach, and this sophomore quarterback from Flint really played that option play beautifully. Once again, there's a stunned crowd. If that run had taken place up in Ann Arbor, where incidentally Michigan set an attendance mark of an average of over 103,000 fans, attended all 7 Michigan games last year, or this year, this fall, to break an all-time attendance mark that was set a year ago by Michigan in the 75 season, averaging 98,000. But if that last play had taken place up there, that roof would have gone off the stadium. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Lytle deep and Davis close. 1st and 10 on the Buckeye 45-yard line. There's Davis with the ball. 44, 43, 41-yard line. There he is with that big bull with a bee in his ear. He just rambles in there. You know, he's not a little boy.
He goes 220 pounds. He's 6'2", number 33. And you know that lad can move the 100 yards in about 9.8, and he was a state high jump champ. Can you imagine getting a 220-pound frame, 6'4" high, 6 feet 9 inches off the ground to high jump? He was a state champ down in Virginia. Okay, Michigan's all set now, 2nd and 6. They lead 15-0. They have the ball on the Buckeye 41-yard line. Lytle deep and Davis close. Ricky Leach under center, looking at a 5-2-4. Ricky Leach keeps the ball, pitches out to Huckabee. Huckabee is around the 40. He's cut down to the 35, down out of bounds at the 31-yard line. And Rob Lytle was decked after he'd gone out of bounds. And Ohio talks about cheap shots. You know, they said in the paper yesterday that Woody Hayes has a film of all his 25 years against Michigan and all the so-called cheap shots taken by Wolverine since 1951 when Woody took over as head coach here of the Buckeye School. And he tries to motivate his players. And he also, we understand that he had a little old piece of tape that some reporter up in Ann Arbor had the audacity to call him Dr. Adolph Strangehaze earlier this year, and Woody had that and used it in their locker room yesterday afternoon, and nobody got incensed except Woody himself, is from what I'm told. And so there's a timeout down in the playing field by Michigan. The Wolverines lead 15-0. This has been quite a series, you know, over the years, and we've had the pleasure, personally, of witnessing every Michigan-Ohio State football game since 1939. We have broadcast all of them since 1945. Gosh, I can remember that first game we broadcast. It was up in Ann Arbor against Ohio State, that is. That was the last game of the season. Ohio State led the whole ball game 3-0. We can see it yet at the northern end of the field. Little Hank Fondy was playing right halfback, took a reverse from the fullback on the old single wing, went into the end zone. Michigan beat the Buckeyes 7-3. That was the first time we broadcast a Michigan-Ohio State game. The one we'll never forget was 26 years ago, the infamous snowball game. Michigan didn't complete a pass. They didn't pick up a first down all afternoon. Vic Janowitz, the Heisman Award winner that year, took the opening kickoff, moved the Buckeyes down in 6 inches of snow, and kicked a 38-yard field goal with gym shoes on, and that looked good as gold because neither team had a first down after that, and Ohio led 3-0, and then Tony Momsen blocked one, Al Wall blocked one into the Buckeye end zone right down here at the southern end of the field, and the miracle of that snow bowl put Michigan in the Rose Bowl. And as we said on that record we made, the late and great Fielding H. Yost was smiling down on his number one pupil, Benny Oosterbaan, as the Wolverines utilized a punt and a prayer, 26 of each, to win that weird game. But they won that and went out and defeated a far superior California team 14-6 in the Rose Bowl. Michigan has the ball 1st and 10. It's Huckabee deep and Davis close. The I formation, 2 tight ends. And it is Davis up over the 30-yard line. Wrestles this afternoon along with Rob Lytle, the tandem of the eye, because you can't say that the aerial game has been effective for Michigan. The Wolverines have not completed a pass. They've only thrown 5, but it's been the ground forces of old George Patton Schembechler. He's had that scoring horn blasting here, 2 touchdowns, an extra point, and a beautifully executed 2-point extra point run by Jerry Zuber. Rob Lytle's back in at the tailback. It's 2nd down and 8. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. There is Davis faking it. There's pitched out to Lytle. He's over the 30, down the 25, the 24, the 23-yard line. And remember, with 11 minutes remaining in the ball game, Ohio State is trying to keep intact the fact that they haven't been shut out in their last 123 ball games. They've gone 122 straight without being shut out. And if they're shut out here this afternoon, the last team to shut them out was Bump Elliott's Big Ten championship team 12 years ago here, 10-0, with Jimmy Detweiler and All-American quarterback Bob Timberlake teaming up. And I can remember well, they were moving to that end of the field. Timberlake threw a pass to Detweiler to give Michigan the 10-0 win. There's Lytle deep, Davis close. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Ricky Leach under center at the 23-yard line. Lytle has it, squirms and wiggles his way to the 20-yard line. He has another first down. It's number 18 for Michigan. The Wolverines have 18 first downs, and Michigan has 15 big, glorious maize and blue points. Listen to George Cavender's band. They have won the battle of the bands. I'm sure Bob Foreman pointed that out at halftime. George Cavender, one of the finest conductors in the business, in his sixth year at Michigan, filling the shoes of the old legendary Bill Ravelli. He was tops in his day, and now George Cavender likewise here in the 1970s. There's Russell Davis again over the 20, down to the 17-yard line, as Ohio State's defense is sort of exhausted, sort of worn out, Jimmy the Greek said Michigan by 3.5 points. The scoreboard says Michigan 15, Ohio State 0. Ohio State 0. Don't get locked in on that, Ufer. Ohio State 0. Michigan has 15. The ball is resting 18 yards in from the eastern sideline. You don't mind if I laugh, do you? I've cried for 4 straight years at this Ohio game. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Lytle deep and Davis close. Ricky Leach under center at quarterback. He rolls out to the right. He gives it to Davis, and Davis is still on his feet. Now he's dropped right there at the 16-yard line. Aaron Brown, the middle guard. Boy, Brown was in there beautifully. Ohio's defense, that was the blue chip they came into this ball game with. They're not giving up. And Woody Hayes, oh, Dr. Strange Hayes, he's kind of worried with his test tubes down here on this western sideline. A little bit shaken at the moment. He's had his day against Bo Schembechler. Oh, boy, has he had his day. The ball is resting 18 yards in from the far eastern sideline. Wide to the left comes Kurt Stevenson. Following him out is Jimmy Smith at the slot. It's Lytle deep and Davis close. It's 3rd and 6, and there is Ricky Leach back for a pass. He throws downfield, and it is intercepted, I believe, by Ohio State at the 11-yard line. Tom Roche intercepts, and the Buckeyes pick up their first turnover of the afternoon as Ricky Leach has taken to the air 6 times. He's completed 1, and that was against the grain, and that was into the hands of the Ohio State defensive halfback. So the Buckeyes stop the Wolverines here with 9 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the ball game. Michigan leads 15-0. The ball rests 18 yards in from the far eastern sideline. But Michigan's defense right now, let's check them over as they move in, having got instructions from Gary Moeller, the defensive coordinator, Sebron, Hennessy, Graves, Morton, and Tedesco. Ufer at the wolf spot. Bogley and O'Neill backing it up. The 2 halfbacks are Bolden and Pickens, and Dwight Hicks at safety. Michigan's coaches want this ball game. Ohio State and Michigan, the Big 2 of the Big 10. Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler. Woody overall has won 221 ball games. He's lost only 64. He's been winning at the rate of 77.5%. And Bo Schembechler overall as a head coach has won 115, lost 27, winning at the rate of 81%. It's Logan deep. Pacenta is back for a pass. Pacenta throws downfield. Ufer has it at the 25, down to the 20, down to the 15. Ufer has interception number 6 for his senior year, and Jerry Ufer, who just a few moments ago picked up a 2-point extra point conversion on a beautifully conceived extra point play, has just electrified 4,000 fans. All 6 men in the booth here and the 54-man traveling squad over on the eastern sideline. Oh, General Bo has a smile from ear to ear. Millie, if you're listening, there is joy here in this snake pit on that eastern sideline. Bring out the cookies, Millie. Daddy's coming home with a victory. 10's in tight in a balanced line. Lytle deep and Davis close and Ricky Leach under center, and he gives to Lytle. He's down the 15, 10, 5, 4-yard line. Oh, Ricky Leach hands off to Rob Lytle, and Lytle in his last year against his former teammate Brzezinski wants to win this game as bad as any football game has ever wanted to be won by an individual player. Rob Lytle came from Fremont, Ohio to Ann Arbor 4 years ago. He has never beaten Ohio State. He is the greatest runner in the history of Michigan football, and it would be justice if he gets the ball for this touchdown. The ends are in tight in a balanced line. Ricky Leach under center. Not much noise from the crowd. Lytle deep and Davis close. A 9-man front looking at Ricky Leach, and Ricky Leach gives to Davis. Is hit at the 3-yard line. Russell Davis is down. It was 1st and goal to go at the 5. It'll be 2nd and 3 to go with Michigan leading in the ball game 15-0. Oh, Michigan won 10 years ago, 17-3, and now they lead 15-0, and they're threatening. And look at those 256 Michigan fansmen over there. Go blue, go blue. Ricky Leach asks for the crowd to settle down as he hands off to Rob Lytle, and it is! There it is! Oh, Rob Lytle picks up touchdown number 28 on his career. He has picked up 15 touchdowns in this, his All-American season. He has climaxed a great big Michigan afternoon. giving the Wolverines 21 maize and blue points on that little stinking scoreboard that's been here since Yost came here to dedicate this stadium in 1922. I remember well. Yost stood there and said, my goodness, they should have a bigger scoreboard. And they haven't changed it since. Kneeling is Jerry Ufer at the 10. It's spotted. It's end over end. And, Bobby Wood on the season makes it 87 out of 91. And Bobby Wood has just tied Dana Coyne for the most extra points in a Michigan season with 55. And it would be well that these two great kickers for Michigan, Dana Coyne in 1971, on the team that scored 421 points. And right now, Michigan has 426 points. The Wolverines have 426 points on the season. This is the most points ever run up by any Big Ten school since Yost teams back at the turn of the century. Bo Schembechler's team ran up 421 points in a 12-game season 5 years ago, and now Bo and his big blue machine have 426 cotton-picking points, an all-time record. And Ufer, let's keep everything in its proper perspective. Remember, 1,000 years from now, no one will know who won. But let me tell you something. Everybody knows who's leading right now. 22-0. The entire football world. I hope the University of Pittsburgh is watching this, and I hope Joe Paterno, who is a friend of Bo Schembechler, kind of returns the courtesy next Friday night and whips those Panthers. And then Michigan will move back into number one even before they beat UCLA in the Rose Bowl on January 1st. Bobby Wood approaches. It's an end-over-end kick, and it hits on the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5, and Logan takes it at the end zone. He's up to the 10, and he's hit at the 11 and dropped at the 12-yard line. Michigan 22, Ohio State zip. 8 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the ball game. Ohio State doesn't want to be shut out here because they will stop one game short of the Oklahoma all-time record of having gone 123 games without being shut out. The Buckeyes, I believe it's safe to say, Lundo, will not rack up their 18th straight Big Ten win. Right?
I would have to say that's true, Bob, and I feel that way. And with 8 minutes and 10 seconds to go... And you are
impartial, Lundo. The only man in Michigan history that lettered 3 sports, football, basketball, and baseball in 1 year at Michigan, a 9-letterman. He's impartial. Pacena's back, throws it, and incomplete at the 33-yard line. Storer, number 80, is the intended receiver. And Woody Hayes is talking to himself. Woody Hayes is a mumble-jumble. I don't believe he's going to break any yard markers, but I think it's fitting and proper that we give Woody Hayes his just desserts here at the close of this 1976. After all the anxieties he's given Michigan for the last 4 years, where Michigan has had every statistic but the one that counts, Michigan has lost 3 and tied 1. Ohio State, 2 men wide to the left. It's second down and 10. Pacena's back for pass. Throws downfield. It's caught at the 20. He's dropped at the 24-yard line. The big fullback, Pete Johnson, has just caught his 4th pass of 1976. He'd caught 3 coming into the ball game for 28 yards. Michigan leads 22-0. 7 minutes and 58 seconds remaining in the ball game. The Ohio State Buckeyes have it first and 10. And I think Moeller's Monsters are going to dig in now because I think that would be a lot of icing on the cake if Michigan can shut out the Buckeyes here in 1976. Jerry Ufer was the man who made the tackle on that last pass completion. Up over the ball comes Lang. Wide to the left is Harrell. Wide to the right is Jones. Pacena's back. He's being pressured. He is going to eat it right there at the 22-yard line. It's Steve Graves and Dom Tedesco. Lundo.
Bob, I think I've seen John Anderson in the game now, and I think the reason for that move versus Sebron is that the success that John has had all year in pass defense. He's intercepted, I don't have the exact statistic on it, but he's
intercepted 3.
Sure, so I see that he's in the ball game now, and I think he's in there primarily to drop back and protect on that one side.
Certainly he isn't in because he's a senior playing his last game because he's only a junior, right. So I think your observation is absolutely correct, as it usually is, Mr. Landon. What's the score, Don?
22-0.
Who's ahead, Don?
Michigan.
That a boy. Say it right, Donald. Michigan. There he is. Pacena throws. Oh, it's caught at the midfield stripe at the 48-yard line of Ohio State. Dwight Hicks catches Harrell after he catches the ball. And Ohio State is not down and out yet. There are still 6 minutes and 49 seconds And Ohio State would like nothing better than at least score some points here this afternoon. Dwight Hicks made the hit. Dwight Hicks coming into the ballgame with 41 tackles. Michigan's last scoring drive, 15 yards after Ufer intercepted his 6th interception of the year. It was 3 plays, Lytle twice for 14 yards, and of course the big one for the touchdown, Davis once for 1 yard. There's the handoff to the tailback Logan, and he's hit right there at the 49-yard line. 1st and 10, and Jeff Logan picks up about 1 yard. And you know, we don't have time to check the record book, but I believe, Jack, that with Ohio State not picking up any yards on the ground in the 3rd quarter, I don't believe they've had much here in the 4th quarter, and this is probably going to be one of the most stingy halves that Ohio State has ever been held to by a defensive team as far as running. Minus 4 yards running this half. There's Logan. He picks up the 4 yards and gets 4 to boot as he picked up 8 yards on the play. From the 49-yard line of Ohio State to the 42-yard line of Michigan, Jeff Logan rubs out that 4-yard deficit coming into that last play and picked up 4 more. So there are 5 minutes and 58 seconds remaining on the digital scoreboard, that little thing hanging over there at the southeast corner on the tower. And it is a measurement here to see whether or not Ohio State has picked up their 9th first down of the ball game. Michigan has 19. Ohio State has 9. They're checking it here. Michigan's defensive captain, Calvin O'Neill. And it looks as though the Buckeyes are just shy. It's 3rd down and inches. 5 minutes and 58 seconds remaining. Hicks has been hurt. He was shaken up on the last play. Jimmy Pickens is in at safety and moved Derek Howard in now at the defensive halfback spot. These 11 men, and especially these front 5 and these 2 linebackers and Jerry Ufer and the halfbacks, Sebron, Hennessy, Graves, Morton, and Anderson up front. Meter and O'Neill at the linebacking spots. Vogeley's in right now. Ufer at the Wolf spot. Bolden and Howard at the halfbacks, and Jimmy Pickens at safety, going to try and keep Ohio from picking up a first down, but more important, from picking up a score. There's a full house tee, and it's Pete Johnson. He needed about 6 inches, and he got 1.5 yards, and there's timeout down in the playing field. And I believe Ohio State has picked up their 10th first down of the ball game. They're going to measure. No, I don't even think they're going to measure. No, sir, that is for sure, as Calvin O'Neill nods his approval. The ball's resting just inside the 40-yard line, or rather outside the 40-yard line, away from the Wolverine goal. It's on about the 41-yard line. Up over the ball comes Mark Lang. The line follows. 1 man back. That's Johnson. 2 wide outs. It's Harrell and Jones. Back for a pass at the midfield stride. He stumbles, and he's hit right there, he being Facetta at the 46-yard line. Jim Facetta and Gary Meter coming in, making his 2nd sack of 1976. He'd made 1 in the previous 10 games for a 7-yard loss, and that was his 68th tackle of 1976. The number 1 tackler again this year for Michigan, with right now 141 tackles on the season. The number 1 tackler in the history of Michigan football. Last year, Calvin O'Neill, as a junior, made 151 tackles, a record number of tackles by any Michigan defenseman in their 97 years of football. 2 wide outs to the left. Facetta's back at the 42, over the center. It's incomplete to Pete Johnson. He trapped the ball at the 41-yard line. Actually, Pete Johnson was standing right at the original point of scrimmage on this series of downs. Ohio State now has a 3rd down and 15 coming up, as Facetta was trapped back there in the previous play for a 5-yard loss. And I'll tell you, Moeller's Monsters, if they can shut out Ohio State, they will tie Benny Oosterbaan and that national championship team of 1948. That's the last time a Michigan team has had 5 shutouts in a single year. Michigan has 4 shutouts now. They're going for their 5th. Facetta's back, cocks his arm. He's going to eat the ball back on the Buckeye 43-yard line. And Mr. Thompson, maybe Skladany won't come in with only 4 minutes and 33 seconds remaining. And for the first time in 10 years at Ohio State, with a clock showing 4 minutes remaining, the stands are beginning to empty. Everyone is satisfied that Michigan truly is the number 1 football team in the United States. We told you that yesterday up there on J.P. McCarthy's show on WJR, and Michigan is number 1, and they're going to prove it even further when they get out there to Pasadena on January 1st. There's a snap back to Tom Skladany. There's another beautiful All-American kick. Jimmy Smith's going to let it bounce, and it's going to be down inside the Michigan. They allow it to go in the end zone. 5 Ohio State men standing there. Everybody says, no, you take it, no, you take it. Alphonse and Gaston, and it goes into the end zone. Automatic touchback. That's one of those situations where if it weren't for bad luck, Ohio wouldn't have had any luck at all on that one.
Well, that's much, it was a similar situation. When things go bad, they seem to do that, Bob. Do you recall at Purdue and that punt hit, and our guys were going down, and all of a sudden it hit improperly or properly, depending how you want, on the nose of the ball, and it flicked in the end zone quickly. And that you could almost sense that some of the things that are happening to you at that time.
That's right. Okay, Michigan has the ball, 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line. The score is Michigan 22, Ohio State nothing. It was 30 years ago that Fritz shut him out, 58-6. He didn't shut him out. Check. It was Benny who shut him out. Benny Esteban, 19-0, 20 years ago. 30 years ago, Fritz decisively defeated him, 58-6. 10 years ago, the bumper beat him, 17-3. And now, Bo, George Patton, Schembechler. This has got to be his finest hour in 89 games here at Michigan. Millie, you just got to be feeling happy all over, because I tell you, your husband is down here. He had 4 bypasses in the spring. He's going to have 1 more. He's going to bypass all the bowl games and go to the Rose Bowl. That'll be his 5th bypass of 1976. He's walking up and down there like old George Patton. All he needs is a riding crop over there. Is he happy, along with Gary Moeller and Chuck Stobart and all those Michigan coaches who have worked their hearts and heads and hands and feet and bodies out all season long? There's Ricky Leach handing off to the fullback Lytle, and he's up over the 30, the 34-yard line. Rob Lytle picking him up and laying him down, as Rob Lytle last week set an all-time rushing record for Michigan. And now he's adding to that record as he's picked up this afternoon 164 yards and 28 carries. He will be everybody's All-American, along with Tony Dorsett and Ricky Bell, and it's a toss-up on that 4th spot in the All-American backfield this year. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. There it is, Lytle up over the 35, the 38. And you know why old George Patton's allowing Lytle to run from the fullback now? Because this is the one game that Rob Lytle wanted to play more than any other in his career. The game where he came to Columbus and won. He was thwarted in his sophomore year in 1974. He was thwarted in his junior year up in Ann Arbor in 1975. But it's all maize and blue, and it's all coming up roses for Rob Lytle and his band of Wolverines right now. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Lytle close and Ricky Leach under center. Huckabee has it. He's up over the 40. He's up over the 45, and he cuts back into the midfield stride. He's down the 45, the 40, the 38-yard line, knocked out of bounds. Harlan Huckabee, who can move the 100 yards in 9-4, and he got around that last man, Lundo. He would have been long gone, 67 yards for a touchdown.
To review that play, Bob, again, we have to give credit to our interior line. It was just a tremendous hole, and then plus his great speed, which he licked the first man, and then the second guy just had just a little too much of an angle on him, and he almost shook it to go all the way.
On TV, you might notice the decals on the Michigan helmets. You know who has the most? The All-American. Rob Lytle has 30. Mo Morton has 24. Anderson, Hennessy, and Smith have 23. And Wood, Bobby Wood, has 21. Those are the leaders in the big plays this year. There's Huckabee again, 35. Down to 30, still on his feet at the 26-yard line. Harlan Huckabee all by himself with the help of a key block up front by Kirk Lewis, another block by Billy Defeck, and then he shook a tackle at the 28, and he was finally dropped at the 26-yard line. The ball is being brought in 18 yards, call it the 27-yard line. Michigan leads in the ball game 22-0. The ball rests 18 yards in from the far eastern sideline. Michigan in control. The Michigan Wolverines lead. 2 minutes and 13 seconds remaining. And now Lytle has come out of the ball game, and look at those Wolverine players around their captain. 2 tight ends in Allen's line. It's Huckabee deep and Davis close. Stevenson wide to the left. Under center is Ricky Leach. It is 2nd down and 1, and it's given to Huckabee, and I don't think he has 1 yard. He had to get 1, and I don't know whether he made it or not on 2nd and 1. While they're unpiling, let's pause for a final message during the game over this, the Michigan Football Network. Okay, Bob Ufer bringing you the final minute and 29. Harlan Huckabee up over the 25 to the 21. That was a first down they just measured. I want to watch that after 4 frustrating years. How well I remember Woody Hayes wouldn't shake Bump Elliott's head. Look at those Wolverines over there. Oh, God bless their cotton-picking maize and blue hearts. I've seen a lot of Michigan victories, but I tell you, everyone seems bigger than the last one, but to those men, in that particular year and in that particular game, that's been the greatest. Everything is relative. And to these 54 Michigan players here this afternoon, this is their finest hour of 1976. Michigan has called timeout down in the playing field. The Wolverines have Stacy Johnson in at quarterback. They have Russell Davis still in at fullback. It's Max Richardson at the wingback spot. It's Ralph Clayton in at tailback, I believe. We haven't checked out the fullback yet. Kevin King, number 36, is in at fullback. And it'll be a second-string backfield who will all be back. Remember I said there are only 2 seniors graduating on offense in the first 22, Lytle and Smith. And then defensively, of course, 2 great tackles go in Hennessy and Mo Morton. Bobby Lang, the middle guard. The great captain, all Big Ten All-American linebacker Calvin O'Neill. Jerry Vogley playing a whale of a game here in his final game as a senior at Michigan in 76. And then, of course, the fine defensive halfback, the senior for Michigan, who happens to be Jimmy Bolden. But right now, under center is Johnson. It'll be 2nd and 6. He has Clayton deep and King close, 2 tight ends, and Clayton has the ball. He's down to the 20. He's down to the 15-yard line. Ralph Clayton from Detroit, a freshman. 6'3", 210 pounds, number 27. Remember that number. You're going to see a lot of him in 1977 and 78. This afternoon, Lido carried the ball 29 times for 168 yards. Huckabee 5 times for 42 yards. Leach 9 times for 49 yards. Smith 1 time for 14 yards. Davis 24 times for 92 yards. Davis with 92 yards. Lido with 168. Johnson carried 8 times for 19 yards. Logan 16 times for 68 yards. Pacenta 10 times for a net of 15 yards. And now Johnson hands off to Clayton again. He's down to the 14, 13, 12-yard line. 30 seconds from here to Pasadena, California. 30 cotton picking seconds left on the digital scoreboard here as the roses are beginning to bloom in the Buckeye end zone. No, Michigan has plucked all 22 of those roses because they're going to take them all out to Pasadena. Wide to the right goes Max Richardson. 15, 14 seconds. Under center is Stacy Johnson. And it is Clayton deep and at fullback, King close in the I formation. There is Stacy Johnson giving to the fullback King, and he's hit right there. That's all there is. There isn't any more. 60 minutes of the most glorious, exciting football that we've seen in a long, long time. Sure, the score was lopsided 22-0, but I tell you, it was very enjoyable. There go the players carrying off Schembechler on their shoulders. Old man Ufer is wrapping up his 313th broadcast over the last 2 years, and I don't know whether I've ever been any happier than I am right at this moment, not unless it involves something concerning my 7 youngsters. That's right, I've got 7 youngsters. No, I'm not Catholic, just careless, but Michigan certainly was not careless here this afternoon as those comeback coronary kids on this Michigan football team of 1976 have come from the depths of despair just 14 days ago down at Lafayette, Purdue, to the heights of ecstasy here this afternoon, right here at the Ohio State Snake Pit. And at the moment as I look around, I see the entire stadium is covered with a halo of maize and blue. 22 halos of maize and blue. All these Michigan Wolverines, they've just led the Wolverines into the promised land. No, they haven't parted any water to lead Michigan into the promised land of Pasadena, California, but they have shaved a few hairless nuts here this afternoon. That's Buckeyes to you and me, as well as tickling the fancy of over 280,000 living Michigan alums as Bo's Big Blue Machine, after a slight mechanical breakdown 2 weeks ago, is right back on track and will now lead Michigan into the coveted Rose Bowl come January 1st of 1977. Aren't those words music to your ears? Michigan, the Big Ten football champions for the 27th time in history. The Rose Bowl bid safely tucked under their belts, and now, without question, Michigan has a real shot at the National Collegiate Football Championship of 1976. And that's about it. That says it all. We'll be right back, though. Stay with us with the doggondest funeral service that you've ever heard, plus a final recap of one of the most exciting and pulse-pounding second halves that Michigan has ever had. Right after this final message over this, the Michigan Championship achieved